Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the February 19th, 2026 regular meeting of the Sunset Beach Planning Board. Seeing that we have a quorum, I'll call the meeting to order and let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Okay, first, as usual, item 2, conflict of interest. Does any member have a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest with regard to any item on this agenda? If so, please state so at this time. Richard?
I do not.
I do not.
I do not.
I do not.
Thank you. Item 3, looking at today's agenda, we'll need motions to either amend or approve the agenda. And I'd like to make a motion to change the agenda, I guess amend it. I want to change the order. I asked for item number 7.1, a discussion on Brunswick County stormwater update. It's really an information sharing item. I'd like to move that up in between 5 and 6 there, just because it's really kind of a short item, just to share the information with the planning board and with the public so they know what has changed and kind of get that out of the way. Do I have a second for that?
I second.
Any other discussion? Nope. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Hearing no nays, it carries. Any other motions to alter the agenda?
It may be in item 6.2, but I'd like to have an update on the land use plan. I know as part of it, we were going to schedule public meetings at some point, and
So
I'd
you
like
mean,
to get the
in
status
addition
of
to
it.
going over the text?
That's all.
Yes. So we'll have, at every meeting, we'll update the status of where we stand.
Okay,
Okay.
so that would be redundant.
It's in 6.2, yes.
Okay.
No
thanks.
change needed.
I'd like to make a motion that under administrative comments, that we have a quick discussion about the Green Wave Festival and whether the planning board could host a booth about the land use plan.
Any other comments on that? Or should we make that part of 6.2?
Maybe we can make it 6.3.
Yeah, why don't we make it 6.3?
6.3, so part of the land use plan discussion to discuss that?
Yeah.
So let's add that to make that item 6.3. Why don't you explain it again? So we're adding subcategory 6.3 as part of the land use plan. I'm out. You okay? So make sure the motion is stated.
I move that we add 6.3, a discussion of booth attendance at the
Green Wave Festival.
to our agenda.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion on that?
Second.
Okay. All in favor of that amendment?
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing no nays, that's added to the agenda. So I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as modified or amended.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? No nays, the modified agenda is approved. So the next item, number 4, is approval of the minutes of the 1/15/26 meeting. Since I did not attend that meeting, I will defer to Vice Chair Stuart Jones here to conduct a review of those minutes. Stuart?
I did have a question about under the major site plan review, the second paragraph. Richard, were you okay with the wording in the second paragraph? That was mostly your discussion.
Yeah, I'm fine with it, but one of the issues that was revealed in the meeting is that of the attendees at this meeting, I was the only member of the planning board that had been present at the conditional zoning hearings. And it would be nice if that could be added to this, just to highlight the fact that one of us had actually taken part in these negotiations and could speak somewhat
I
authoritatively
guess
about
can
how
you
they
get,
were
can you
conducted.
give Tim the language you want included there?
Um,
Could be just a single line that
yeah, a single line. Member
Richard
Dysinger was,
Dysiker was a member of the planning board during this conditional zoning review process, something like that.
okay. Yeah, perfect.
I think we can review the minutes from that meeting, or review the reporting rather from the meeting, and get what specifically was said.
Sorry,
Add
say that again.
So she would be able to review the YouTube video from that
Yeah.
meeting and find out
And-
what exactly was said and add
Yeah,
that to the
and for
minutes.
the record, there were 4 meetings, of which 2 I was unable to attend because I was not consulted before they were scheduled. But the other 2 I was in attendance, and subject 13A, which was the issue under discussion, was done at those 2 meetings. So if we get the first 2 were in May 23rd, 24th. I forget the exact dates, and then there were follow-up meetings in June. That makes sense?
Well, I want to make sure Kim understands the sentence you want added, that you were present for this discussion?
Well, I'm just responding to
Right.
Ken's pointing out.
And I was at that meeting. I remember you making that statement, but I just want to be sure that the language is correct rather than, I guess, we just want to make sure it's correct.
Okay. Well, if you
Well, the
want
key point being is that Richard is saying that he was at the meeting that this was discussed. He was present at the original meeting. He wants that, he made that comment, I do recall it from the YouTube myself, and so documented appropriately. We agree on that?
yeah,
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
That's fair.
Any other changes, Stuart?
Yeah, the other thing on the major site plan review is there's no record of the vote.
I agree. That's
There's
the one
no-
thing I noticed.
No
You have
move-
a motion to deny, but no vote results.
Yeah. So we need
And
a,
the motion to deny was unanimous.
right.
So we're going to add, it was carried unanimously?
Yes. All 3 of us.
And I'm not sure if it's relevant, but it might be helpful that in all other aspects of the plan that was presented to us, everything else was approved. It was simply the height issue that
I think that,
resulted in the denial.
yeah.
Is that an important?
No, I think it was covered in the last meeting, actually. I don't remember if you guys mentioned it or not. Again, might have.
I don't think so.
But
Okay.
the previous meeting was stated, so I think that's on the record already.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Fine.
think as long as it's clear to everybody, the denial was based on, as the motion says here, the building height discrepancy alone.
Correct.
Because it says alone there, Richard.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Right.
fine.
Right. Ron, too, if I remember, you stated you had to state the reason why the denial. So it was clear to you, Ron, and everybody else that the denial was based on
Building.
non-conformance with the 50-foot height condition, correct? All agreed?
Agreed.
The last sentence in the minutes
Yeah,
specifies exactly that.
yeah,
Yeah.
alone, and then once
sir.
you get the voted there, that was, it's clear why it was denied.
Yes, sir.
Other than that, I don't have any comments. Nope. On the minutes.
Okay, make a motion.
Yeah, I think the new business section is fine. 8.1 is fine. Kimberly, once again, you've done a great job. So,
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
As
Second.
modified.
as
As
amended,
modified.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Nope, here no nays. The minutes are approved with said modification. Okay, because I did alter the order a little bit, we will actually bring up discussion item 7.1 first, which is a information sharing item concerning the stormwater.
Mr. Chair, you advised that you were going to move that between 5 and 6 would be up for public
Oh,
comments.
sorry.
We gotta do
I
public
skipped the
comments.
public. My apologies. Any public comments on the agenda item? Step to the podium. Seeing no public comments, I can move on. Again, sorry about that. It must have been a premonition. Okay.
Mm.
So I requested Ron to include this item for discussion, really to share with the rest of the planning board and with the public so they know what I think is a somewhat moderately significant change in the way the county's handling stormwater for the stormwater permit. Ron, if you want to maybe give a
briefing.
we have the written document, a little summary for everyone to hear
Sure.
what has changed and how they're handling it.
Sure. So as the chair indicated, he asked me to contact Brunswick County Engineering just to ask questions about the changes to their stormwater ordinance and how or if it does impact Sunset Beach at all. And the information I got back was on January 20th, the commissioners of Brunswick County voted to change stormwater requirements that would apply to the unincorporated areas of Brunswick County and most of its municipalities. I say most because there may be a town like Leland, who, for example, may have their own stormwater rules. The revised change applies to certain developments within the town of Sunset Beach and its ETJ. There was no stormwater standards requiring, no changes to the stormwater standards for requiring stormwater management systems on individual residential lots. Basically what happened is the amendment was the post-development discharge, peak discharge for residential subdivisions and commercial developments. The applicants are required to do a discharge rate, apply that to 1 year, the 10-year, the 25-year, which is already in existence, but they added the 100-year storm for that project. There is a hardship clause that's available if someone has a small piece of property and they can demonstrate to the county engineer that they can't comply with that 100-year storm, then the county engineer can take that in consideration during their review. And appeals, is my understanding, they go to the Brunswick County commissioners. When I first reached out, I was told that initially that there aren't anything we need to do for our ordinances, but since then, we have further communication from Brunswick County that we may need to look at amending our ordinance, whether it's our municipal code or our stormwater ordinance within the UDO. We don't know yet. They're supposed to provide us some template and some language if we are to do anything.
So
There is I have a copy of the 2006 agreement if you guys are interested in it. In that it does say the town will adopt the stormwater ordinance of Brunswick County. Should the county adopt any amendments to its stormwater ordinance, town will also adopt those same amendments. If the town does not adopt amendments within 90 days of notification of passage by the county, then this interlocal agreement would be void.
So
we need to do,
essentially that ordinance
so we need to do
mandates
something.
that
We don't know yet.
that we have to comply with the county's stormwater initiative.
For the 100-year, so basically they're requiring someone wants to come in and build a grocery store.
Right.
They're going to have to not only do the 1, 10, and 25-year peak storm, they're going to now plan for the 100-year storm, which is roughly, I'm going to round, and I believe there's a chart in your package, about 12 inches.
Can I ask,
36% higher.
how
The
does-
reason I had him include I don't know if you did it, it's an interactive website.
Yeah, us.
You can go to the NOAA site and click on where you live, and it tells you what the rain is. And he printed out the table. So yes, where I think
I rounded up 12, but
I think you picked the town hall. If I looked at the map right, is that where you picked?
this
No,
is basically at the shoreline and
Yeah, at
Sunset
the bend.
Boulevard.
is
intersection.
11.6 inches in a 24-hour period. But what
a
I
lot of
found
rain.
somewhat interesting, and which is why I sort of had this discussion, the 25-year is 8.52 inches. So yes, it has increased their first discharge, but it's actually going from a 25-year rain to a 100-year rain is a 36% increase in rain.
But one might
not
assume
like a
that
four-
it's 75% increase.
Exactly, but it's not because it's
Yeah.
it's statistics and probability. So
Right.
to make it clear, so under this new county ordinance, the developers will have to handle whatever they call the first discharge or whatever their language. I forget their peak
Okay.
discharge is now, would be increased from 8.52 inches of rain to 11.6 inches of rain.
How did this not fall under the downzoning prohibition?
I'm not an attorney.
Not an attorney.
What?
I'm not an attorney, so that's Brunswick County.
It's county.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do we stand? What are we going to do on this?
So next steps, I think we need to hold on to see what Brunswick County provides us. They have not officially notified the town and any other jurisdiction, as far as I know, of this change. So until we're notified, we don't have to do anything. But my understanding is too, they're going to provide us with some template language or code language or something to consider
To adopt their standard.
to adopt their standards. We may already be covered by the way the stormwater standards in our UDO are written already.
Yeah, 'cause they,
I
right.
don't think it mentions the,
We don't mention
Storm.
specific. We just say compliance with.
yeah,
Right.
we just say compliance with their
Well, we need to,
ordinance.
well, I'm glad I brought this up now. So we
Yeah.
need to monitor that and make sure.
It's well
And-
like
Yes.
90 days.
Can
Yeah.
Well, but we've not been notified yet by the county. So
Oh,
not
okay.
90 days. As I read the interlocal, it's 90 days. Town will adopt the stormwater ordinance of Brunswick County sideways within 90 days of notification of passage. But the town
we'll
has
have
not
to
been
keep an eye on
notified.
that
As far
and
as I know, the town's not been notified.
Well, then they'll decide whether it's a UDO change
Or do we need to put something
so
in
it
the
comes to
code?
us or the town council or both.
Right.
We have to have
Can
that path ready.
Can I get clarification? It is my general understanding that as you increase the stormwater abatement requirements, it makes tree preservation more difficult. Is that a generally true statement?
Good.
And we've just created a UDO that significantly enhances tree abatement. Are we headed for a collision there or too soon to tell?
It's too soon to tell in my
Well,
opinion.
plus it allows,
I'm not a
our
civil
code
engineer.
allows mitigation. So,
Okay.
I mean, what you're saying is because they need their detention pond larger, if not deeper,
Right.
do they then Big 36 Oak gets pulled down?
Well, there's also a grading issue in that.
Well, but if they do have to remove a tree for any infrastructure, it will have to be mitigated by the rules, which is inch for inch.
Yeah, but
So-
then we get into an issue of it's one thing to mitigate a couple of loblolly pines, but now when you get into legacy trees, which I think has a much more significant impact, and we went through, line by line with Logan on the conditional zoning and the tree abatement issues in terms of preserving, I think, 9 legacy trees. And this could conceivably impact. So under the new UDO with more stricter stormwater requirements, we may face the day when we're forced to make a decision to forego tree abatement, which the community is
I
extremely.
don't see why that
sensitive.
would be
I'm
possible.
not
Why,
sure.
I don't see that because well, first of all, if it is what it is, it's already passed. So it is.
Okay.
We just got to make sure we're in lockstep with it
Okay.
properly legally. But if they have to, yes, if some stormwater infrastructure is needed, it could be needed now.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't really, and if it is, we're still counting the trees and doing the count of whether it was a heritage tree or a regulated tree. The same math is going to apply and mitigation is going to apply.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, you're always, but true, a giant oak could be sitting in the middle of a retention pond now that will go and have to be mitigated, correct?
Correct.
So,
But if there were specific trees listed, let's use Logan as an example, that say thou shalt save this 55-inch oak tree. That's a condition of approval, and they needed work. I mean, those trees were identified in certain strategic areas of the plan for those trees to be preserved.
I don't think we've ever done it that way.
Yeah, but I'm just using it as an example.
They
and I
do
don't
the tree
remember.
survey when they do
Hey, Wes
the,
wants to jump
they
in.
do the tree survey when they do the preliminary plat.
I thought there were some trees that were identified, but I may be wrong.
I don't believe so.
Can we
Wes
get the mic
Patel.
up? Thanks.
So the Logan project, we could get certainty on this. They would be vested under the old rules,
Right.
not subject to the new.
I'm sorry, Wes, I can't hear you.
You there? You got me, Alan?
Better.
Thank you. Wes McLeod, thank you. Just Logan would be vested under the old rules, so not subject to the new 100-year trigger. And so just the other two things, I think Ron alluded to this. You do have specific reference in your UDO to compliance with the county's stormwater ordinance at present. So at least there, it is there. And secondarily, as of this morning, I have requested again from Bridget Flora, Director of Engineering, hey, what, if anything, do we need? Can you provide us documentation? And so I can assure you that it will be, as soon as we have an update, the town will be made aware of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Stuart,
Thanks,
any-
Wes.
Any questions, Stuart?
Nope.
Michael, any questions?
Nope.
Okay, there's no action on this again. This was information sharing, I guess. Ron and Kenneth, any questions or?
No
Okay.
question.
Ron, thanks.
Thanks, and then obviously Ron too, if some action is required, you'll bring it to our attention
Yes, sir.
when needed. Okay. Next item of new business, make sure I read this properly, is the adoption of NC SOG. Is that something of government? I forgot. School of Government. Suggested rules for procedures for local appointed board. Our interim administrator, Ken Clammer, it's all yours.
Claymar.
Claymar, excuse me.
That's okay. I've been called worse. So before you for consideration is the adoption of the procedure for appointed boards. And of course, there are some things here that guide you on essentially Robert's rules, a condensed version of Cliff's Notes, if you will. So if you've had an opportunity to review those, if there's any questions, I'll try to answer those the best that I can for you now.
My main question are two. One, we have a UDO that describes our function to a bit, so we need to comply with that.
Certainly.
And then the way it looks to me is there's like some multiple choices in here. You know, parts that are in bracket. So are we supposed to go and put our name in rule 1 and then pick the sections we want and then finalize this document and adopt it?
Well, the bracketed parts, for example, I know there's a mention of a secretary, I believe, versus a clerk. It's just to encompass a situation that you may have one or the other. So I don't know that it needs to
Well,
be so specific. But
Let's go
it's-
to rule 2.
Yeah, I had some.
It says
concerns
the
about
presence,
quorum.
and I got a question. The presence of a quorum is necessary for board to conduct business. Yes, we know that. A quorum consists of a majority of the board's actual members, and then it gives you a bracket excluding vacant seats. So that tells me that's a choice. You can put the period after the P in membership, or you can adopt the part in the bracket, which today makes a difference because we had a withdrawal of one person. So normally 5. So our quorum is 3 out of 5. Now the question is 2 out of 4 a majority?
So I've brought up some questions.
So because if
Similarly.
you exclude the vacant seat, we're 4. If we don't exclude the vacant seat, we're 5. So that's what I mean. There's a number of these, what I found when I read this, a number of these bracketed things that to me seem like choices on how you operate.
Yeah, when it comes to part 2.
So I guess are the instructions for us to go through each of these, pick our choice, make sure it complies with the UDO, of course, and other ordinances that we have, finalize this document and vote on it for adoption?
That would be my recommendation, to ensure that the board has the opportunity to review it, mark it up. If there's anything that needs to be sent for legal review, then it'll be sent. Once that review is complete, then that completed document would come back to the board at that time for consideration.
So should we assume that today we can, I have an issue with part 2. Historically, traditionally, we don't eliminate an unfilled seat in terms of the measurement of quorum. There's an unfilled seat now. We still need 3 for a quorum. So, and it also provides some impetus to get a seat filled. So I just, in terms of item 2, I'd just like to strike that as an option.
Well, I've identified item 2 as an area of question because, as the chair and you have stated correctly, the code does say a quorum of 3 members. As far as my recollection, a lot of times when you're trying to determine a voting situation, excluding an absent seat is typically done like the Board of Adjustment, and we have a vacant seat, determining how many people there for sake of
Yeah.
voting.
How many
is
people
there.
are on the Board of Adjustment?
It's 5.
5, okay.
So an example of what I just note that I wrote was, to me, there may be a conflict with the UDO section. UDO states 3 members can constitute a quorum, but if, let's say, we have 3 vacant seats for whatever reason, then as written, the rules may indicate, okay, if only 2 of you show up, you can have a meeting, but the code, I think, would trump, say you have to have 3.
Right.
So, I'm trying to think of an extreme example. So that was one area.
Well,
where
because
I
again,
also noted quorum as a potential.
right. 'Cause
Uh,
in my mind, we don't accept that excluding vacant seats. Our quorum consists of well, we might write the actual membership.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm far more comfortable with that.
well, it should be a quorum consists.
Of 3.
Yeah.
3,
Quorum consists of 3.
period.
Right.
For
So-
consistency with your UDO, yes.
Right.
As long as
So-
as long as any changes that are made are compliant with general statute and the UDO, and I don't think that today is the meeting to go through this page by page.
Well, I guess what would you like us to do with it?
I would like you to go through it page by page,
Okay.
but not in this meeting.
You'd like us to
So
what?
I'd like you to go through it page by page, make any corrections similar to what Mr. Satterfield did, forward those to me, and those will be subject to a review. Once those are approved, it'll come back to a subsequent planning board meeting, hopefully next month. In the meantime, we can follow.
I've
the
been
procedure
through
that-
this page by page, and I have questions on some, but some of the things I think are decisions the board needs to make. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
We got to go page by page, and because we need to decide things that are not in the UDO, that are options. Some of them are quite simple, like it says. Some of them are quite simple, which was like the date, Part 4, Rule 8, and the date and time of the first regular meeting in July. We appoint the new chair and vice chair. We do it in January. The July is in brackets. I'm
Which you
assuming
do.
that's changeable. So some of this are like a real simple, but I don't know. In my mind, I think we need to go through this here and decide what we want, and then turn that over to you guys to review for legal, and then the final document comes back and we adopt it. I don't know any other way to, Stuart?
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to go through it line by line this month or wait for next month.
Well, I'm assuming you got to add it to the agenda. They want us to do something with it,
Yeah.
so
I mean, I'm prepared to go through it line by line.
you're not?
I am.
Yeah, I am.
I would make the recommendation that those edits are prepared and submitted to me, and those come back to the planning board meeting in March.
So how is that different? I'm confused now.
Well, and then we could discuss them at that time, but you'd have comments from all 4 of us to go through.
Yes, and we'd have a review of what you have submitted at that time that we can, if we have to make some changes there based on legal opinions, then we can do so at that meeting.
So we would submit our concerns or changes to you.
I would probably say first to Ron. He would review it, make sure it's in compliance with
Ron?
UDO. It goes from Ron to me
And
to
then
legal, and then we
you-
come back in March.
And
Yes,
then
sir.
you would do the review and come back to us with a draft.
With a draft for consideration of approval
Okay.
in the March agenda.
So let's run this by. Everyone could, we all have a copy now.
Yep.
You all can go through this and mark up questions and changes. I guess, scan it in or drop it off to Mr. Satterfield. It's going to be a difficult job trying to compile that, but I don't know another path. I mean, because is that work, or you're looking? I mean, because I just have my notes on which sections, what changes.
Do it however the board wants to do it. If you want to give me your,
But that
just
sounds
give
like
me
it's
your
going to be hard for you
scan
to
copy
do
or
that
copy
way.
of that, then I'll look at that way. Or
Yes,
Mr.
a
Chair,
better suggestion. I'm open to.
Mr. Interim just I understand the quandary that everyone's in. I wonder, Ken, if there are a couple consensus related items that would warrant discussion, so that I fear that if there's 4 different documents that are sent for legal review, it's going to incur a bunch of expenses on the town twice, rather than if there's a couple things here that they could seek consensus on, provide that to Ron, then a clean copy could be sent. If there's four copies that are sent up, then it comes back. There's additional consensus that's needed. Then it's going to be sent back to legal, which may be fine. I just want you to be aware that it sounds like there may be 2 iterations of legal review that would be required. Then secondarily, they could not seek consensus among themselves outside of the meeting. So all those comments have to be submitted individually. If they are to confer on this outside of the meeting, it you're in violation of public meeting laws. But I'm just provide that for, and maybe 2 legal reviews is fine. I just want to make sure that that's
I'm with you.
okay.
I appreciate that, and I think less is more. And I was sitting here thinking the same thing. Like, how can we get a consensus outside of this meeting? We can't. And I don't want to send multiple subjects to the attorney for review. So I would agree with Mr. McLeod that if we can consensus on several of the items without getting into the weeds, then I think that's a good path forward. Kimberly could send Microsoft Word documents to you as well, so that you can make edits, strike through them, mark them up that way.
Yeah, I mean, because some of the things, at least in is, I'm asking for clarification.
Well,
I mean, in situations.
we're wasting a lot of time talking about it. Let's just go through it, deal with it,
And
and let them move on from there.
sounds good.
Because we got to get through 2 chapters of this the
Yeah.
same way. So instead of discuss it, let's go start by my rules. Start on what's called page 5. That's where everybody's got their first page, right?
Yep.
And again, the issue of the quorum in my mind. So according to what Ron Satterfield says, we have to change that language to reflect our UDO, correct?
Correct.
So our UDO says it's always 3, irregardless of vacancies and the number of the board members, correct, Ron? So maybe we should just copy the quorum language from the UDO and put it in here.
yeah, UDO says
Strike the
3.
whole thing and just plop it in here.
Yeah, your UDO says there shall be a quorum of 3 members for the purpose of taking official action.
Yeah, that's it. Put it in
Let's
there.
just put that in
Just
there.
put it in there. If they don't like it, they can send it back, change.
Okay. I have a question on page 6, item 6.
Well, wait, I ain't moved to 6 yet.
Oh,
Anything
okay.
else on page 5?
Sorry.
Not for me.
And again, let's try to keep it to major items
Yeah.
so we don't text everybody. On page 6, maybe some of the questions, it looks like this thing in general moves us to some electronic meetings. What is generically called a Zoom meeting, though it's not. Seems so I had some questions, but nothing that were
So, and
other than number 6. There was the board shall conduct all votes by roll call. As you can see earlier, we generally don't on all votes, but we can change that if we want, which means as opposed to today taking the ayes and nays, I'm going to have to call a roll one by one so that even on a amendment motion to the agenda. So from reading this, I didn't see anything.
But that's only in an electronic meeting.
Yes, and
Only electronic
the
meeting?
electronic meeting would apply as written only when the governor has
Yeah.
I stand
announced a state of
corrected then.
emergency.
all right, fine.
There's 2
Yeah, I think in
sixes.
terms of electronic meetings,
There's
which
2
are,
sixes,
I mean,
by the way.
God
And-
forbid we ever have to have one of those.
I mean,
Oh, yeah,
And that's pretty much and that language is fairly consistent with the statutes.
right. So, if we,
All
okay,
all
I
that
stand
emergency
corrected
meeting.
on that. That's fine. Anything else on what's called page 6 that is somewhat critical?
No.
Page
No.
7,
Page 7, there's a blank in terms of advance notice, in terms of notification from a broadcasting. I think that should simply be the function of the town administrator.
Where's that?
yeah,
Rule 7, item B, meeting shall so notify blank.
Yeah.
I mean, if you feel you're the appropriate person to approve or not approve the presence.
I would agree.
town administrator, right?
All right.
Yeah.
And then, I guess really more for staff on this. Rule 6, item B, recording the ayes and nays. Okay. Because I asked Kimberly about this before, software item recording all the people's votes, and there was a software issue. So if we adopt this, as long as the town, unless that's changed, you can go one name by name now. Okay, fine. So that's been fixed. Good.
Okay, cool.
Not fixed, or
One
because normally you were saying like it was unanimous or what, but actually what this indicates, you got to say each name and how they voted. You can do that. Okay. Page 8, which I referred to earlier on part 4, rule 8, we do our vote yearly for chair and vice chair in the January meeting, not the July meeting. Correct? So
Yeah.
that would be correct if we just take the first meeting in January, and the last sentence we can incorporate because we elect a chair and a vice chair in January.
Now, is that the vice chair? Is that the title that we currently use?
Yep.
Yes. Anything else on 8?
Nope.
Oh. What
Well,
section?
under number 9, regular meeting schedule, there's may and shall.
Oh, yeah.
my comment on
We-
that one was
We adopt the town.
the town council adopts your regular schedule.
So we
And
should,
I don't even know that section is needed, but town council historically has adopted the schedules for as my understanding, adopted the
Yes.
schedule for your appointed boards.
so should we change that to read the town council shall?
These are your rules and procedures, so I don't know that it's necessary.
Well, I'd like to get we don't actually, we could, I guess, get their schedule and adopt it.
You could, but,
So we
you-
ju-
but
let's just
but
take them,
that's what
should
they
we just
adopted,
take
you
the
gotta
may
do it.
out and shall, and we can decide whether we need to do that?
Yeah.
Let's say the board shall, if we make it a may, take the shall out, then when they give us the schedule, if they feel we need to, we can make a motion and adopt it, right?
Yeah.
We kind of do it, we accept it now without consideration, but that's,
Right below that in B, there's a whole bunch of stuff about clerk of the Board of County Commissioners, the board's clerk and secretary, and the board's website. All that stuff just
Yeah.
needs to go away.
Yes,
What is this,
that's
Rule
just pick the
10?
one. That's just your pick the
9B.
proper firm.
9B.
Item B?
9B, yeah.
10B, I'm sorry, that's what we're looking at.
9B.
Oh, 9B, okay.
so it really could end after the regular meeting, and the rest of that could probably just go, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And there's a lot of that language in C also that just needs to
Go.
go away. 'Cause we don't have a website and all that stuff.
Yeah, I
So-
think in a lot of situations, the draft is trying to capture as many potential
Right.
titles and positions.
Well, this is like made for everybody from the county
And
committee.
it's not
yeah.
it's also not just the planning board, it's other appointed boards.
Yeah.
And so,
So
there-
whatever the appropriate title or staff member is, just
So, yeah,
fill that in.
so staff can correct all the language as far as the notice, who does the notice, where it's done and stuff, right? I don't think there's any changes needed other than the fact that there's not a,
We don't have a bulletin board and a door to
the town does.
put the
Town does.
notice.
The town does. The town
Okay.
does that for other meetings.
okay.
And we do have a website, so I think we can get rid of, if there is one.
On page 9,
Whoa.
Oh.
I'd still like to go through page 10. notice to the public of special meetings. I mean, in terms of certain special meetings, that's in direct conflict in North Carolina law. We can't have a special meeting on a conditional zoning request or a text amendment absent specific notification protocols. So we can't say, okay, we're going to do a conditional zoning special meeting in 2 days.
Correct.
So I don't know how, and special meetings as a rule, I mean, I understand the difference between an emergency and a special meeting, but to me, special meetings need to adhere to the most generous provisions for public disclosure. And this does
So
not.
you're calling into question, I want to make sure I'm on the right rule.
At least
10.
48 hours before a
So
special meeting.
paragraph B,
10C.
at the least 48 hours thing. You're not giving us a choice there, but
Yeah.
You have to we have to meet your advertising requirements for certain types of actions, as Mr. Dysinger has correctly stated. If you needed to hold a special meeting for something else that was not advertising this, these rules will still apply. They're also governed by the state statutes. Anyway,
So I guess, I mean, for instance, we hold special meetings for the town council approval of text amendments that the planning board has recommended. So we've got, I think we have 2 right now.
so an example of a special, let's say town council wanted to meet with the planning board to talk about growth issues. That could be done in a special meeting with 48-hour notice. That would, both boards, town council and planning board, would be part of that notification. I'm using that as a hopefully as a simple example. But if you wanted, like, but you're correct, if you wanted them to talk about a conditional zoning matter, public hearing, then we're going to have to see what does the code and what the statutes require for public hearing notification.
So I
now
feel
this is a minimum, which does sound short to me.
yeah.
It is consistent with the statutes.
But as
for a
soon
special
as
meeting.
we create the tag of special meeting, and these are the rules,
Well, special
we
meeting,
now have a conflict
Special meetings,
between
any
a
meeting.
special meeting.
any
that-
meeting that's not on the regular meeting calendar.
Correct.
Yeah, understood. But we have special meetings about conditional zoning requests. We have special meetings about text amendment requests.
And
Okay.
then
We cannot, by North Carolina law, do that on 48 hours notice.
agree.
So how do we accommodate those specific
What is the state
situations
minimum?
within Rule
48
10?
hours is the minimum for a special meeting. So we can't really increase it because that's what state law provides for is 48 hours.
I'm confused.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, special meeting, 48 hours is required. I think simply you could just say 48 hours notification unless otherwise required by ordinance, period. And you'd be good to go.
Okay.
Okay.
So at least 48
And
hours
that's
before
local
special,
ordinance.
unless
There's not a state statute. You guys locally require for a rezoning a hearing. And you could still meet on a conditional zoning request. You couldn't act on it though until there was a hearing, right? And so, just the distinction there. Richard's technically correct. You couldn't act on it until there was a hearing. You could meet on it, get information.
That doesn't
yeah,
provide
But-
me with any comfort.
I'm not suggesting. I'm just trying to make sure that unless otherwise required by local ordinance, I think by your ordinance would
probably
would suffice.
covers that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, in terms of the history, the most ardent public response has been over, in some cases, somewhat minor additions to text amendments, right? And I would have a hard time justifying, oh, we're just going to talk about it in 2 days. Don't you worry, and deny the necessary time for people to arrange their schedules so they can attend and express their views. So
I think just for simplicity's sake, I think just referring to unless otherwise required by ordinance, you'll take care of that
But-
requirement.
Okay,
You happy with
stay
that?
there
Stu?
for a second. If
Okay.
you bop up to A, it's the chair or a majority of members may call a special meeting. And I
Right.
guess I was recently taught that I could do it. Is that what we want? Is that our ordinances now, that the chair can call for a special meeting without a majority of the
The
board
ordinance-
members?
I don't believe the ordinance, the zoning or UDO does not specify. I believe on the from a couple of weeks ago, I believe that was based on practice and based on what state law would say for the elected body.
So that first sentence is that the chair may call a special meeting.
And I've
Because
seen that
if we adopt the
in others.
parentheses or a majority of the members, the only way to get a majority of members is to have a meeting.
Or you can have both. But special meeting could be called, say, in this session today
Yes.
for another date
Right.
certain, and 3 of you would vote in favor and 1 person not, then you would have the majority of the members.
Right.
It doesn't have to be, it can be done as, like,
At a
we got to
meeting.
have a meeting now, or it can be done, hey, we're going to have a special meeting, talk about X.
So for
week from
special
now.
meetings, we should include the or part, right?
Yes. I think so, because if the chair's not here, then we got to have a way to call a special meeting if we need to.
Right.
Because the other issue with special meetings, and we ran into this back, we called a special meeting and none of the planning board members were consulted as to the date. And it put me in the position of, I had a hard commitment that made it impossible for me to attend 2 of what I felt were some of the most important meetings for the planning board on issues with which I was passionately engaged. Now, to the staff's credit and everybody's credit, we haven't had that issue since. Usually when we call a special meeting informally, well, can you be there, can you not be, whatever. And we make it so that all planning board members can attend, or at least make a good faith effort. So I'd kind of like to preserve that. I don't know how you do that in this language. Is what here sufficient to preserve that, or could a special meeting be called absent consulting with individual members?
It only says here that you get 48 hours notice. In C, notice to members. It's probably not the way I would do it, but this.
I don't see how you couldn't ask us ahead of time, because there's
Right.
only 5 of us. If you can't get 3, then it's not a meeting. So
Right.
you almost have to ask us ahead of time whether we can attend a meeting or not.
And then it would be at the discretion of the chairman to say, well, maybe it would be better if we did it on Friday rather than Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's more of a practice than something you want to memorialize here.
Yes.
All right.
So Rule 11, emergency meetings, which
I honestly
I'm
can't
not
think
sure
of,
what the difference is.
well, I can't think of a time where an emergency meeting would need to be held by the planning board that we couldn't
I can't either.
do. I don't know that section is needed. And also, if needed, statutes would cover that anyway.
Mhm.
And I get a little nervous.
I would recommend taking Rule 11 out.
Okay.
I would concur.
I would concur to that too.
I could see that as something for the council,
Also, because
but for the planning board,
Right.
I don't.
also everybody remember at the very end, Rule 36 allows us to adopt specific rules. So
Yeah.
we could just say, that no emergency meetings, right?
Yeah.
Without changing this document, we can adopt a rule in Rule 30, the last one, 36, saying the
Planning
planning
board
board shall not have emergency meetings,
sounds good to me.
right?
Sounds good.
And not have to change all this pre-done text or whatever.
Going backwards a little bit, I almost have the same position on Rule 5, which is a closed session.
Right. We don't
I
do
can't-
that.
We don't do closed
Everything you do,
session.
only exception I could think of, and I think even then statutes could still could work here, would be if somebody has appealed your decision of, say, a site plan or subdivision, and it goes, and there's an attorney-client privilege opportunity. That's the only time I could think of. Otherwise, every bit of your business is conducted in open. I don't know that Rule 5 is needed.
Well, then debate,
but-
my thought in the end here is that where things don't apply to the planning board for lots of other reasons,
Ah. Sorry.
One more time. That we go to the end and say, Rule X does not apply, whatever is not, planning board is not adopting Rule 5 or whatever. Sorry about that. The language in that adopting your own rule, it might be better to do it there at the end and say,
That's fine.
X rule is not adopted by the planning board or whatever.
Good.
And then, as
These
opposed
are
to
your rules of procedures.
right.
So, but I do think, like in the case, if something came up that a closed session could be held by the planning board, I think state statute would govern anyway.
Mhm.
This is you guys don't have. Oh, sorry.
You're not mandated by statute to have a rules of procedure, period. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of this that's not applicable to you. But
So
yeah,
it seems like we're being requested to have it. So I'm trying
sure.
to follow the intent.
I did. So yeah, there's certain things in there that are probably not applicable to you guys. Closed session, host other things, and so just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Okay.
So we could if we don't want it, we can strike say that we are not.
Rule
Rule
11.
is out.
Yeah.
Or not adopted by the
Just
plan.
delete it.
Recesses we do. My question on the agenda was whoever puts it out, the secretary, clerk, whatever you guys want to call it,
Yeah.
2 working days is not enough to have the agenda published, in my mind, to us at least.
Yeah, I agree. But
Not if we want 7 or 8 there, but no, it'll be working days. Sorry. It doesn't need to be that many working days, probably.
I think
is reasonable.
5
4.
or 5.
5 working days, right?
I'd say
Well,
5.
5 means that it would have to be available on the Friday prior to the meeting. Friday.
That's what we
Monday,
try to
Tuesday,
do
Wednesday,
generally, right?
Thursday.
Generally,
It's
that's
5 working days generally.
Like this week was only 4.
I'm comfortable with 4. It's a Monday. I mean, that's typically
Our deputy
Kimberly?
clerk is, I'm sorry, our deputy clerk is requesting at least 5. At least 5.
Well, this is
It says at least
Okay.
5 working days, right? From the clerk. Oh,
you comfortable with that?
this
Kimberly?
means we have to have it
Okay.
to you at least 5 days before the
right, which would
So
be
5 working
Friday
days.
before Thursday
We have
meeting.
to have it Friday then.
Thursday.
Working days.
So you're looking probably Thursday. The
You're
5
good with
working days
5.
mean they meet on Thursday. They would have to have the package by Thursday.
Well, we've never had it. We've never had it that early.
Usually get it on Thursday. You usually get it on Friday.
Okay. If you're okay with that. But like this week, we didn't get it till Monday, so
You want 4 then?
You can
No,
do 5.
5 it's earlier. The higher that number makes you get it done earlier.
yeah,
Earlier.
you have to get it done earlier.
I was at 4.
So the minimum is going to be no less than 4 working days before the meeting date. So our normal meeting date being a Thursday, 4 working days before would be the Monday, but you are certainly free to do it by Friday before. That would be earlier than the minimum. You don't want to set your minimum on something that's not always achievable, but certainly 2, I think, is too close. I think we'd want to see it on at least the Monday morning. Agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
I'm trying to go as fast as we can here. I'm on page 10, and my 2 things on this is item C, the consent agenda. I know the council has it. I don't think we have it or need it, right?
Correct.
It doesn't say you have to. Does it say
No.
I think it says sort of in the order of business, we got to have it.
But you can also modify the order of business.
It says we can,
Well,
or leave parts out. I'm not sure what a consent agenda would be, because we don't have routine reports
Well,
and stuff.
approval
Yeah,
of
but if
minutes.
we don't ever have anything on the consent agenda, we don't have to have it on the agenda.
Okay, so I just want to make sure the way it's
Alright.
written and the way Rule 16, the order of
That's what I
business,
would-
items shall be placed on the regular meeting order. It has to be there. These dots have to be there. But we can reorder them.
Correct.
If you're looking at Rule 16, we can reorder them or leave them out as needed. Is that the way it's interpreted?
So are we on Rule 15?
Yeah, not quite. We're on at the top where it says consent agenda. I didn't understand what we would do that. And Rule 16 gives us a list of items to put on the agenda. I just want to make sure our interpretation is we can use or not use those sections as needed and then not have the order as listed here. Is that correct? Am I reading that correct?
That's how I would interpret it. I don't know that you need to have a consent agenda at all, but that's your decision.
Because it
ultimately,
says the
council.
usual order of business for each meeting shall be as follows. I guess the key is what is the word usual.
You have minutes. Like, the only thing I
Yeah.
think of a consent agenda are your minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I guess fine. Rule 15.
Given that the agenda must be presented 4 days before the meeting, I like the idea of public members being allowed, but somebody comes on Wednesday, wants to get on the agenda,
Right.
and then we have to redo the agenda.
Yeah, so
So
that 2 days has to go to like 10.
Yeah, I'd say 10.
10.
10 days?
If the public would like to suggest something for the agenda, they got to do it 10 working days before the meeting. For these folks to decide whether
My thought process on all that, Ken.
or strike it altogether.
There's a caveat in there that the board's not obligated to place it on the agenda merely because the request was received.
Yes, and
So if they do it 10 days, they do it 2 days, you don't have to put it on. You can
We
put it on
don't,
a
but
subsequent
we
meeting.
don't choose that. The board doesn't choose that. The way it works now, staff chooses that.
I see.
So, well, sometimes we do.
what we're getting now, though, is applicant-initiated amendments, say a zoning map amendment, a conditional zoning, or a text amendment, applicant-initiated. They're submitting an application 30 or so days before your meeting, paying their fee and going through the process. I see it as if someone wants to come speak at your meeting or
They
during
can
your
speak.
agenda, this, either something on the agenda or something towards the end, where I think we have public comments for anything. They can come to a meeting and say, hey, at your next meeting, we'd like you to consider X. And then you, as a board, can decide, let's put that on our next meeting.
Well,
So that
I
would
read
be
this a
part-
little different, acting like
No, I
yeah,
understand how you're reading it,
right.
but I'm just saying how it works today is we wouldn't just take something from the public and generally and put it on your item for discussion.
Well,
It may bring something to our attention, and then we think it's worthy putting on the agenda, like an amendment to the code
Right.
for a discussion item. Then you guys give us direction.
I guess the way I was thinking was say, yeah, the public sends an email to everybody saying, here's an important issue we'd like us to consider. I think giving them, as long as they do it in a certain time before the meeting, before the agenda is produced, staff can consider whether they want to add it or not, right? As a discussion item.
Yes.
I mean,
think so.
but because we have 4 days before the meeting to get the agenda out, we need at least 8 days before,
I would say 2 weeks, but
Yeah,
Yeah, 10, 8 or
I'd
10.
say 10. Yeah.
working before to get it in your hands to decide whether you want to add it or not.
I think that's plenty, and I think we ought to move on because this
Yeah.
has never happened as long as I've been here.
Well, we do get emails and stuff, and sometimes we bring them up ourselves.
Right.
and they can also come and speak at the public comment period.
And they-
Right.
But let's just, I'm okay leaving it in here and changing that 2 to 10. If the board, somebody else has a better idea, I'm open to it, right? So in other words, if the public wants to add something to the agenda, they can submit a request, something in writing to clerk, secretary, you guys can figure that wording out, 10 days before the meeting, and there's a chance it may make the agenda as a discussion item. There's also a chance it won't, because that's, as the chief said, the last item says it may or may not be added. But it gives them the chance to get it added, or some expectation that if they get it in early enough, it might be added. I guess that's what I'm trying to see, the public. Somebody wants to submit something, there is kind of a mechanism to do it, and they would have some expectation of at least being considered for adding, which I don't have a problem with.
I think that's fine.
Okay, let's go on. Let's try not to overcomplicate it, everything. And I guess you told me earlier the rules, order of business, we can adjust that as needed, right? Or do we
Yep.
need some language saying that we can?
Yeah, I think we ought to think about the order of business and, maybe before next time each of us come back and we can talk about what kind of order we'd like to have. I don't really like having new business last. I mean, if we had anybody in the audience that wanted to speak on a new business item, we ought to get them taken care of before the last thing.
My suggested edits to staff so far has been we already have an order of business, that's my changes were suggested to be just what you already have on your agenda. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, how do we handle it then? We can adopt a special rule saying that our order of business, as opposed to Rule
Right. 16,
is this, and lay it out.
So what
or
I did
adjust
was
this.
I amended Rule 16 and put call to order, pledge of allegiance, conflict of interest, amend or approve agenda, approve of minutes, et cetera, all the way down.
Like for instance, on public comments, we always have two
Yes, and
sessions.
I've got that, I believe, on my suggested edits would be you have 1 through 10 on your agenda
Mhm.
is what I have made suggested edits for.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Yep.
All right.
Rule 17B, there's a bit of redundancy here that in parentheses, the chair may vote only in the event of a tie.
No, well, I think we're going to adopt.
We
We
need to
adopt the
d-
first sentence. The chair has the same
Right.
duty as vote as I know the council is different.
The
when it com-
second part needs to be stricken, I think.
Right. We only use the chairman I'm just a member, just like everybody else.
Right.
One
Yeah.
vote, that's it.
Yeah.
Other than orchestrating this thing. So that's our rules. The chair just votes as a member.
Do we really need Rule 19?
Suggested to cut it because I think it's a conflict with 17B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there have been opportunities when Ron would gladly delegate chairmanship to me so he could speak freely, but
Okay. So we can get rid of 19 either through striking or adding a special rule, deleting it. And I guess Rule 21 bothered me because we do everything with a motion and a second.
and
And
so
I've
does
gotten
the
into
council.
I've gotten into the habit of doing that. I don't know if I could.
Yeah,
I don't think it slows things down much to get a second. It does. If you don't get a second, it kind of ends it there, which is fine.
I think it actually speeds the meeting up. If you don't get a second, then
You're
that,
done.
You're
that
done.
motion dies and you move on.
I prefer either changing that or adding a special through that we will take we require a motion and a second to go to a vote.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's kind of normal.
It's Robert's rules, right?
That would be kind of normal, Wes.
Yeah.
It's my experience.
So anybody have an objection to that and not going to one motion? That we stick to a motion and a second before proceeding to discussion or a vote?
Yes.
Every board I've ever been on was
Right.
Yeah.
And because I would do it all the time out of habit, somebody would have
Yeah,
to stop me all the time.
Mm.
Okay?
I think that's interpretation. So a second is not required, meaning the board doesn't have to second a motion. So if there's a motion made and nobody seconds it, it dies. It's just interpretation. My interpretation is that there's no requirement
look
for
at
a
it.
second. So if you make a motion and nobody seconds it, the rules say that's okay. By my interpretation, meaning there's no requirement for a second.
Well, my interpretation is that you could proceed to a vote without a second.
Yeah, that's the way I am. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a matter of interpretation. It needs to be cleared up then. I see what you're saying. So Stewart makes a motion and nobody seconds, it's dead.
Yeah.
Right? But I was concerned that someone could make a motion to vote on text amendment, and even if there's no second, I got to take it to a vote.
Just adding language in 21, no second is required by any motion. Without a second, the motion dies.
So you understand what
I do.
I'm trying to clear up is that one motion without a second doesn't bring something to a discussion or a vote.
Right.
You need a second to get to a discussion or a vote. It dies without the second. You're
Just
right. I agree.
By ways of, we just need to clarify.
Right. I'm happy to take comments on anything else. So for a while, I got nothing until page 14. In the debate clause. Is my next comment. on that.
Motion. I got a question on 13, motion 6 to suspend the rules.
Where you at?
We get into some math issues. 2/3 of the board's actual membership, excluding any vacant seats.
Where are you?
Where are you?
Page 13, motion 6 to suspend the rules.
We could just change that to votes equal to 3.
Well, 3 isn't 2/3. Last time I checked. 3 out of 5 is 60%.
We can't do a half person. Well, we just can't we
Majority of the board's actual membership. I would have said majority.
just make it a majority of the
Yeah.
of the.
I mean, I'm happy to make it 4 out of 5. I mean, but I mean, the math is just a little murky here.
Right.
So equal to
The majority.
a majority of the board that of a majority of the board's actual membership, right?
Correct. Works for me.
Almost to the end, folks. On page 14, and Rule 26 of debate, the last dot there, no member shall speak more than twice on the same substantive motion. First speech is limited to 10 minutes. It's obviously time constraint things here that.
Do we have to have Rule 26 at all?
Well,
Yeah,
we
to the
state that
ex-
things are open to debate, but I tend
It's-
to,
it's
right now,
awfully-
is allow everybody to speak as much as they want.
Awfully formal for us.
Yeah.
We tend
Yeah.
to just talk.
Yeah, I think this is a solution searching for a problem.
Well, it is like for more formal, town council or
Yeah.
county commissioners or something.
Yeah, yeah.
My only question on that is, well, I don't feel I want to limit anybody's ability to speak.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't expect a filibuster on the floor to last for 4 days, but
Right.
I'm not sure any of us have to
No,
stand
we don't
on
get to
it
it.
for 10
But-
minutes. So
if somebody wants to speak
But-
3 times on a motion, I just don't want to limit that. So however to handle this properly, I'm good.
I think the intention of the council is to have some uniformity. And if this is removed, then if there becomes an occasion where you want to, you're having these 4-hour discussions and the board decides we got to find a way to limit those 4-hour discussions and there's no mechanism for it because you're going to remove it.
I can count on one hand the number of times we've had 4-hour discussions. I understand.
And that's before a motion.
What?
That's before a motion.
Sometimes.
This is actually after a motion. We
Right.
almost never have discussion after a motion.
Yeah,
True.
well,
So
maybe
thoughts?
it doesn't hurt us if we're doing all our discussion before the motion.
True.
again, I understand there's a somewhat of a limit, but I'm not
Could we-
comfortable with
I
limiting
mean,
somebody to
It-
2
is-
talks of
is there
10
a way?
minutes.
There's a way to introduce language in here that says because there's a difference between what is a mandate and what is a recommended practice. Okay, and I see this as as a recommended practice, but I don't think we want people with stopwatches, mandated by ordinance to now limit people to debate, 10 minutes. So, I mean, I understand, these aren't bad guidelines, but when they become rules, then I get a little nervous.
I don't know what to do with that, but
Could we
my general feeling is I don't like limiting people's ability to speak.
Okay, so
But
could we
forget it.
with some
eliminate?
practical limit, I guess I don't know how to do it right now. I don't want to beat the
Yeah.
thing.
Okay.
That at the discretion of the chairman.
Yeah, maybe. It just seemed like those were hard numbers that
Yeah.
kind of gave me a little
Yeah, I
pause.
don't like the hard numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what gave me the pause. Maybe something the chair can limit excessive debate. I don't know, something like that.
It seems like most times the chairman or someone can say, we would like for you to hold it to 5-10 minutes.
Right.
It's not a hard rule,
And-
but we'd like for you to do that.
I
Yeah.
don't know, somebody will have to deal with that somehow, I guess.
I believe
Well,
too,
we-
another member could ask for somebody to call the question.
Right.
We could change the shalls to mays. That
Okay.
would achieve what you want. So no member shall. We change it to no member may. So a member's first speech on a substantive motion shall be limited to 10 minutes.
But that's-
May be limited to 10 minutes. It gives you discretion.
Yeah.
It accomplishes what you want without
Yeah.
rewriting or striking the entire section.
Okay.
Can we take a quick look at 15, that prevent reintroduction for 6 months? That seems a little draconian.
Hmm.
I'm not
Now
sure.
we're back to some murky math, 2/3 total membership in order to permit reintroduction.
Well, I'm not sure what it's trying to say, but my first thought was state statutes were recently changed to where towns and counties cannot put a time limit on when a rezoning or some type of development decision is made. So you can't, so like code may say now you can't resubmit a rezoning application for 12 months. We can't do that by state law anymore. That's where my mind went when I read motion 15. I don't know if that's what it's trying to communicate, but that's what I read into it.
So
Can we just change it to 1 month?
We can't
Any.
we can't,
But the regular
Put any
meeting is
time
only
limit
1 month, which is
for-
the next meeting.
but before a land use application, whether we can't put a time limit on how long it had before they can resubmit. That's where my mind went with this. I don't know if that's what it was
no,
trying to communicate.
my mind did not go there, but now that you mention it, I think you made an excellent point. So now, for instance, in the Lumina, I mean, I don't think we ever got to a motion in the first meeting. We tabled it.
Mhm.
But it would have been, there was the potential that had we filed a motion, this would have prevented them from coming back to
Except
us for
state law,
6 months.
except state law would have trumped it.
So that would not be good,
So state law would have trumped our rules of procedures.
which
And
is something
could-
we want
If
to
they wanted to
avoid.
resubmit, we could not
Okay.
say, sorry, you have to wait 6 months.
So just get rid of it?
Yeah,
Yeah. If it's in violation of state law, then we just,
Well, again, I'm not sure exactly what it's trying to communicate, but that's
Yeah.
where my mind
well, I
went
think
with
it's
it.
trying to eliminate kind of redundant, frivolous.
Bring it up every meeting, same thing over
Yeah,
and over
yeah,
again.
yeah.
Why are you looking at me, Ron, when you say that?
Okay, I'm trying to get to the, please move. On page 15, the duty to vote thing, at the end, I'm trying to recall what our previous attorney told us. When you abstain for a vote, which is the last sentence here, it looks like it shall be recorded as a yes or a no, an affirmative or negative. And he told me one thing, I want to make sure we're clear on that. If you abstain, you're a negative vote, correct?
My understanding is if you abstain, your vote is whatever with the motion. That's how I've always been, that's how I've been
Well,
taught
because
that.
this
So
is not, well, the choice here shall be recorded as an affirmative vote or a negative vote. So it's kind of asking us to pick one. And I guess to my mind, abstention is a negative vote
Right.
because he
I would.
didn't affirm to progress forward. But
Because we got to send his attorney anyway. Since this has to be sent to the attorney anyway, I'm going to recommend we let the attorney
So-
decide that. But my understanding has always been if the vote is to approve, or the motion and second is to approve, and Richard, you abstain, my understanding is always recorded as your vote is with the motion. That's how I've seen it. I don't know how you've done it before. That's how I've done it. That's how I've seen other places that I have done that I've worked.
so that needs to be cleared up because
Well, I was wondering if the first sentence
No.
should be taken out. You can't abstain.
You have a duty to vote. The only reason why you shouldn't vote is because you have a conflict.
Right. And so this,
For what?
A conflict, as
Right.
defined by the statutes.
right. So
Well,
this,
I can see a situation where an abstention represents a statement of protest that this is even under consideration.
But you still have a duty to vote.
Yeah.
By state law, the
Yeah.
only reason why you shouldn't be voting is you have a conflict.
Okay.
of interest.
Well, it
Alright.
says you have to be kind of given that. It's, I
I
guess.
think
Right.
again, it's an interpretation, and I
Yeah.
think you're right, Mr. Chair, that if you abstain, that's one thing. If you just say I'm just not voting, then that's something different. And I think that's what this is trying to capture, is if you did not abstain, but you're saying
You choose not to
I'm just
vote.
not going to vote. Not
Well,
abstaining, but I'm not voting.
The other reason for an abstention might be it's an issue about which a member has absolutely no expertise or ability to make a sound judgment, who may by abstention be deferring to
Well,
the
then
will
it's
of
kind
the
of
board.
close to what Ron said.
That's
that
what
it-
I'm saying. It goes with the vote, goes with the
And
motion.
then that would be
So
Okay.
maybe that's what we need. It should be recorded as a vote with the motion.
I mean, that's how I've seen it happen.
So that needs just a legal clarification from staff, I guess, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And I did, by the way, modify that sentence in the middle. The board may not excuse. I recommended modifying it. The board may not excuse a member except in cases involving a conflict of interest as defined by the North Carolina General Statutes, 160D 109, conflict of interest. That's how I've changed. I've
Mm.
suggested change on that.
okay.
I mean, we all generally vote, but, okay. Anything else on page 15? that we-
Yes, I have a question. Public hearing. So do we have public hearings?
We may.
You may. You're not required to.
Have
Count
we
general-
had a public hearing?
We've had public hearings on conditional zoning requests,
Yeah.
That's the only
on
public.
text amendments.
And
We're
those,
required to, correct?
No.
No.
Choose on some of that.
oh, I think, as far as I know, the only one we may have had was Angel's Trace.
For
Public
what?
hearing. Public hearing.
The UDO was changed to allow us to do it or not do it
'Cause-
in some cases, right?
Because a public hearing has to be advertised and,
Yes, yes, sir. Mr. Chair, you do require hearings for rezoning, and so I think simply one sentence that just says public hearing shall be as required by ordinance, and that'll be that. Would be
Or
the-
by a vote of, I mean, is this something that we can,
I think the way it's written now, there's, like you said, there's some that we must do and others we may do, right?
correct.
So
Many,
we-
that's
say if
right.
there's a really
Yes.
consequential text amendment, we
Yes.
can make a motion. If there's a second, vote on whether we will choose to have a public meeting on this before proceeding to a
Or
vote.
public hearing.
That's
Public hearing,
correct.
excuse me.
A number of years ago, there was a requirement for any text amendment for it to be acted upon. There was a public hearing and obviously notice required. That kind of slowed things down potentially when this text amendment needed to be moved forward. That was modified to then be discretionary. Based on the pleasure of the board for a text amendment, but the rezoning hearing notice it still remains. Again, that is beyond the minimum requirements of state statute. It is only at the council stage that there's required public hearing. So
so,
Our routine, my routine has been to always discuss these items first, paper them, and then review the paper and then vote. So it's kind of, I've allowed public time on purpose without the public
Sure.
hearing.
Yeah.
But yes, we could call a public hearing for if we choose.
I'm
But
taking notes. Let's do that.
other than cases where it's required, like on
Yes, I
rezoning,
decided.
we do.
okay. All
so
right.
on rezoning, it's required. On text amendments, it's not, but
Not.
we have the discretion to,
To do it.
okay, I'm comfortable
And
with
generally, I've been
So-
satisfied with the fact that we usually discuss paper, correct, vote. So there's usually, here, in my mind, enough time for the public to become aware of it, see the paper, or see the papered text,
that. Right.
and can come and they have 2 chances to comment. That in my mind, that was been sufficient. I haven't run into one yet where I felt got to have a public
So
meeting.
may I?
Yeah.
So with Rule 31A, calling a public hearing, so what I'm going to suggest is the board may hold a public hearing to solicit the public's input on on specific issues, and shall hold a public hearing as required by the Unified Development
Yeah,
Ordinance.
by the ordinance, right.
Okay.
Now, are we allowed, maybe I'm jumping ahead here. Forget it. Let's proceed.
Anything on 16?
Yes. All right. So
Where you at?
on item H, for public comment.
Don't need G.
So, as a rule, I grew up working in all the Wake
Oh.
County areas. Every jurisdiction had public comment or public hearings attached to specific items. And so the advantage there was that, like on, say, take the major site plan, for instance. We had a public comment period at the beginning on any agenda item, right? So the public could get up and speak on that agenda item, but they don't specifically know, they haven't had the presentation, they don't know all the information to speak on that agenda item. And so what I'm used to is that you have a presentation by the planner to explain the situation, explain what's going on, and then you open it up for public comment. And so the public then has information that's been disseminated. They can then speak intelligently about what's been, presented.
How about if we flip our public comment description? The first one being public comments, anything. And the second one, which is usually just before adjournment, right, is public comments on only agenda items.
Well, the issue there, though, is that I think what Stuart's getting at is then
But
you've not
then-
heard the comments for that particular item
Yeah,
until
but
that
that
item's
would-
voted on.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if, we don't have 20 items on our agendas. Can we have a public comment period right after Ron introduces a subject on that specific agenda item?
I think that
See what I'm trying to get at?
I kind of like where you're going with this idea. Would it be possible for a motion to be made that would add public comments specific to an agenda item placed in the meeting after the agenda item?
Correct.
So I could make a motion today that said, okay, we're going to have public comments on, what are we doing here? And have them immediately follow me. No comments, we move on. Comments, we sit and listen. Is that,
Wouldn't you want to have, I think to Ron's statement, wouldn't you want to have input from the public before you make a motion? Because the point of the
Yeah.
public input
I think what Stuart's saying
is
as
to
well.
perhaps,
what I'm trying to
listen to
get
what
at.
the public wants, their desires, their wishes, and then make a determination if you want to make a motion. So we make a motion, and then we hear comments for or against. The person who made the motion might say, well, with that information, I wish I hadn't made that motion. So why get to that point where we have to retract it or let it die? Hear the public comments first before the agenda, before that item is introduced, which follows the rules of procedure, similar to what the town council does. And what we're talking about in this section specifically, part 9, is public comments for public hearings. So
Yeah, it's in the
public
public
comments on
hearing.
agenda items is further previous in this packet.
so public comments prior to agenda items would guide obviously our discussion.
I'm just
The
concerned.
general frustration that I
Yeah.
have and I sense in the public is there's the way public comments work, and I made a motion about this a while ago that got turned down, is that there's no dialogue. I would say 30% of the public comments are asking us questions. Sometimes they're stating things in which that particular person has a fundamental misunderstanding. that would take all of about 15 seconds to clear up. But because we're denied because of procedural,
Well, it would be a
I would think
free-for-all.
this method, okay, we have public
But-
comments before the agenda item, we deal with the agenda item, and then we have public comments after.
I think, Richard, that's kind of where I was. This replaced the public hearings, which is different. Where we had that discussion of how agenda items from member of the public, that's kind of, if they put the question to staff and decide the question needs, we can add that to the agenda. I think it's already there. If somebody has a question, they should encourage to pose their question. If staff or Ron and we decide that, boy, that's a good question, we need to address it, we can add it to an agenda as a discussion item. But you can't do it right in the middle of the meeting, I don't think, because we devolve into an argument, but with the public, which we don't want to do.
And we
So
may
I think
not
that's
give the
covered by
correct-
that other section.
We
And this
may
is-
not give the correct answer
Right.
or know the correct answer, and so if we give bad information at that time, that might be bad.
So the way I look at this is somewhere earlier in the document, you set out how you want your agenda, and that could
Right.
still be similar to your public comments for on agenda items. And then I'm looking at this. F talks about public hearings.
Right, we're in
You
the
could
whole-
almost say conduct of public hearing / public comment. The conduct of public hearing and public comment. 'Cause that allows you then to take comments or hold a public hearing, whether it's required, on a specific item.
Right.
Then I don't know that you need H after that, but H still allows you. But you've already you've already decided, and I forget what page it was earlier, the way your agenda would work. You
Right.
would have a public comment opportunity. So I know you don't want to eliminate public comment. Just talk about any agenda item or any item.
But I guess that's why I was asking about a public hearing, because a public hearing is a formal, advertised
Right.
session, right?
Yes.
And a public comment is just an informal,
But you still may want feedback on a particular item.
right?
Right. So that's why I say you call it conduct of public hearing / public comment,
Okay.
just as throwing it out there.
And the rules for public hearings can be created as a function of the public hearing.
Well, this is,
Well, how do you feel about this, Ron? If we change that kind of format, and both Rons, how do y'all feel about that? If we introduce a subject on the agenda, like
What-
the major site plan, you go through your determination or your spiel, and then you open it for public comment.
Well, the way you described it is how I'm used to it.
That's how I'm always used to hearing
In other
it.
jurisdictions I've worked, we've had a planning board. There was a public hearing. We would introduce the item. Public hearing was held.
Right. Yep.
Our code required, in Wilmington example, our code required a public hearing on all items presented to the planning board. Rezonings, text amendments, conditional zoning, whatever. So the item was introduced, staff would do it, then the applicant would present, and then there was a public hearing. That's what I'm.
And in
used to.
our UDO, required for zoning, not required for text amendment.
yeah, what,
I believe
what,
that's the
what
case.
Stuart's talking about, I want to make sure I understand, is basically have a public comment period after all.
After Ron does a presentation
Yeah.
of what the facts of the situation are, and then open it up for public comment,
On just that item.
On
just that
item.
item, and then we deliberate as a board after that public comment period's over.
On everything?
On that
On
item,
Well, I mean, on,
one item at a time.
yes.
So
But-
there's a public comment period. Say we have 3 items on the agenda. We
Even
have
if it's
3,
a discussion item, not anything.
No, just on
Amendments.
a voting
Okay.
item.
Amendments to your code, rezoning,
And,
Site
and,
plan.
and this is something that we could designate
Well, I
as,
think we can't.
as a
I don't think we
function
can
of the
decide
draft,
that.
as a
I don't
function
think
of
we
the
can decide
draft
this today, I
agenda.
think.
So that, I mean, today, I don't think we're going to get any public comments on any of the issues that we're discussing.
Right.
But there are going to be situations where we're sitting in a full house And clearly the people are here due to their sensitivity to a particular agenda item. So we would have the discretion at that time to say, we are going to, in the new agenda that we'll adopt, insert a period of public comments following the specific item in the agenda. That makes sense?
Following the introduction of that item.
Yeah.
Correct.
Before we vote.
Because
Before we
what
motion.
I'm trying to get at is get them the information about what's being presented accurately before they comment.
Right.
Because we're getting lots of comments
Yeah.
that are not accurate to what's being actually presented.
Right. Particularly on items that have ignited public interest or
Right.
concern. All right.
Wes, any?
Mr.
We can
Chair,
push
sorry,
this.
sorry to help beat this horse some more. I think typically when you guys actually have a public hearing, which is rare, there is typically some level of introduction. If the concern is what Stuart is alluding to, and I think really this is only about public hearing related items and what Ron was talking about, public hearing related items, I think you could simply say prior to any required public hearing, prior to any held public hearing, staff shall provide an overview of the matter before the hearing is held. I think separate of that, you guys are also talking about public comment, which you have on your agenda in 2 instances. And I think just making sure that those are 2 distinct items that perhaps they're being conflated.
What
a
I
bit.
hear from Stuart,
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong, is that when we're moving to a possible action,
Sure.
so after the staff provides the public information, but they should have got with the agenda, and he does the summary, and before we start our discussion, to allow the public to comment basically on what staff has said. We don't do that now.
I mean,
We
typically
have this giant group
Sure.
that says agenda item, which means they come in here early, they can speak on anything on the agenda.
Yep.
Before they might have read the staff stuff.
Mhm.
They have it in writing with the agenda, correct? But they haven't heard, and we haven't started our deliberation. Get the public input before our deliberation. Is that correct?
But if there is a public hearing, there'll be another opportunity. And prior to that, historically, there's been an overview before folks get up and speak.
Yeah, but
Right.
I think
I'm
we're trying
not really
we're trying to
worried.
make a distinction between a public hearing
And a public
and
comment.
a public meeting.
Public
I'm
comment.
fine with
'Cause of
the
what I'm-
rules being much more generous in terms of public participation. But in terms of a meeting, we need to set specific standards as to when
You've got
the public can be
Sure.
invited
You-
to
the
comment
public
on the
is
agenda.
sure you've got public is invited to every meeting. You have public comment twice on every meeting, regardless. And then in other instances, limited, there may be a separate public hearing on a specific item. And so
Yeah, but I think what Stuart's trying to do, and I agree with this, is on rare but very specific items, there's a tremendous amount of public concern. And we need, in a meeting format, the capability to say, as part of the agenda, we are going to allow public comments specific to this topic directly after our discussion and presentation.
got it.
No?
After the
After-
presentation,
after the
not after
presentation.
our discussion.
No, yes, right, after the presentation, before our discussion and consideration.
And
Yes.
so simply perhaps a sentence that says the agenda can be amended to add public comment after any particular item. I mean, at your discretion. I fear that if you have public comment on every agenda item, while that may be great,
That's why I was thinking if we
Is
could
it
add
that-
something that
you already have 2 instances of public comment,
well, I
which
think
is
the
more
first
than
one was kind of meant to do that.
Yeah.
The agenda
Yeah.
item one. But what Stuart is alluding to is that the public hasn't heard the final presentation from staff on it.
No, they
Right.
haven't.
They've spoken, and
Yeah.
then
So there
I'd
was,
hate to use people's names. Then Ron
Yeah.
gives us a summary, and like today, on the stormwater, he had a piece of information
sure.
on this ordinance thing that wasn't in anything
right.
until he spoke it. Okay, this
Yep.
public that wouldn't, but something comes up in the final presentation by staff and we go, oh, okay, we got to think
Yeah.
about that, allowing the public to speak. So can we set up some simple guidelines here that can I
Yeah.
at any time allow public comments or
Uh,
make a motion to add public comments
I think
before we
can-
vote on something?
If
Yeah,
I may.
I don't
Yeah.
think we're going to have much trouble
Let's try to wrap this
figuring
up.
out. I mean, I look at stormwater. I don't see a public outcry for comments here.
Right.
Okay. Let's go back to the text amendment on the hotel. All
Yeah.
right. Lots of public outcry on that issue. And I think there was a general frustration in terms of, number one, our ability to accurately communicate what was really going on here. Okay, because I think the public felt this was an up or down vote on the hotel, which it was not. Okay? That would have been a perfect example of
Well-
an opportunity for an agenda to allow the public specifically to make comments in the midst of that consideration. And we, as a planning board, could have some discretion to say on these particular agenda items in which we see a great deal of public concern, we can designate as part of the agenda agreement that we will allow public comments after this point.
Mr.
Because I
Dyson,
agree, I don't want to have public comments after everything we consider, particularly when clearly nobody's here and cares. All right? But when they do come and are passionate about a particular thing that we're contemplating, we need to create a way for them to have some say.
But
under
And you had some thoughts?
I do. And so if we're looking at F on page 16, conduct of public hearings, again, I go back to interpretation. So during the public meeting, it says the chair shall call the hearing to order and proceed to allow public input in accordance with any rules adopted by the board for the hearing. So let me read that again. Shall allow public input in accordance with any rules adopted by the board for the hearing. So we're having a hearing today, let's say for stormwater. And the board decides the rules for that hearing is going to be the presentation of the stormwater presentation followed by public comment. Feel that it's captured there in that section to accomplish exactly what you want based on my interpretation, because it says that you will allow public input in accordance with any rules adopted by the board for the hearing, not this entire document, for the hearing. So if we're hearing another hotel presentation today and the board feels, all right, there's 40 people in this room and 40 in the overflow, we need to have a public comment section after the presentation. So for that hearing, the board says, this is the order. There's going to be a public hearing, and then there's going to be public comments. Thoughts?
Okay.
Thoughts?
We're getting into a little semantic trouble here. In my view, there is a qualitative difference between the word public hearing and public meeting. This is a public meeting, okay?
Well, I think
It is
West-
not, we have
we
public
need to-
hearings mandated that are different functions. Okay, so I'm trying to create a rule for the public meeting as distinct from the public hearing. Okay,
Well,
so I'm in agreement with you if you take what you just said and apply it to, and again, my curse is an English major. Okay, the item being public meeting.
Our regular meeting or special meeting. Stuart, you started this. Let's
Well-
wrap it up.
well,
What do you think?
I like Wes's idea of adding conduct of public hearings / public comment. And maybe we could look at changing the word hearing to meeting in that section.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this section 9 is public hearings, okay, which is not our regular public meeting or special meeting or emergency meeting. So you're asking to change it in the meetings that are not public hearings,
Right.
Right.
which this is not addressed here. I don't see it. We're just going to have to I would say this particular item we'll have to wait on and think over to see
Okay.
what, I know Ron Satterfield said in other experience, they allowed a public comment after the presentation. I'm willing to do that. I don't have a problem doing that as long as we decide on what type of items we do that for. Which,
Yeah.
if we're moving to a vote to adopt a text amendment or rezoning or something like that, I think it should already be on the agenda if we know that's what we're trying to do. If there's no public comment, fine, we move on. I just say ask for it, and there isn't any, we go. But I just don't want it on every single item we discuss.
Okay.
Yeah. And
And
I
then
think there's a
the-
way to do that.
I
So maybe
I think we can
that's-
do it.
I
Maybe
think
we-
you could do
we
that by
refer
consistent
this
with
back
Yeah, by
Chief Clement
what-
was-
and
Because-
come up with language that,
And
and
all right.
by adding public comment in the header there, the term to allow public input, hearing and comment is input.
right.
right. I have one last thing on H. I noticed in here that it says board may hold a public comment period at any regular meeting or special meeting called, at least in part for that purpose. So the council adopted this, correct?
They're asking you guys to review it and adopt it and then move forward. I think council will adopt it afterwards, after legal reviews as well. Is that correct?
So council hasn't,
The council adopted it for themselves. Yes.
so did they go through all this line by line like we did at a public meeting? I don't remember that.
No.
Not to this level.
Okay. Well, there's lots of options in here, but one of the things in here says that if they've adopted this, it says a special meeting can have a public comment period. And so I think that's really good news that a lot of the, like the special meetings at the town council have not allowed public comment.
It says may.
It does say may, but I think that's a good thing. I thought the council wanted
Sure.
public comment. So I think, I just think that's a good thing that they could allow public comments at any special meeting. Last special meeting, I know there were people there who wanted to speak, but there was no public comment period. And so I think this is good news for the council that they could add
Yep.
public comment period.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is, because I can pretty much guarantee that if it's a
Well, we don't
special
have-
meeting,
We don't
it
have
is
it.
something that has engaged the public. I'm thinking of the special meetings that we've had, and they've usually been well attended
I'll be-
and focused on very issues that the public finds very concerning.
And we've always had public comment.
Our eye will
period
be on our
in
meeting agendas, which I'll obviously pay more attention to. My last question was on open meeting laws. Is it 2 for us, Ron? On committees B?
Open
Is the
meeting-
majority 3 then, when we're
It's-
5?
My understanding is
Is 2 in our UDO?
open meeting will be when a majority of the board meets.
Okay,
Now, if you established a committee, let's say 2 of you are a committee, an official committee, Mike and Stewart are identified as a committee to talk about stormwater, since we're talking about stormwater today. And you guys meet, and I think that is the official meeting of the planning board committee, and will be subject to the open meeting laws, if it's an official committee. That's how I would interpret the rules, the statutes. If it's an official committee of the planning board, that too then is subject to open meeting laws.
so when 3 of those meet, they have to,
Well,
follows the
if
same
your
rules.
committee is 2, we would have to advertise it as an open meeting when you guys, if you were to meet. That's how I've always applied it and understood it to happen.
okay.
But I think the key there is that anytime there is a public body meeting, we got to make sure that it's advertised properly and it
Mhm.
meets the subject to open meeting laws. So that's any public body by the town.
Well, it's just here. I mean, we were always limited to two. Is that we couldn't even simultaneously elect. I mean, if I'm going to email somebody, I email only one at a time to make sure it's not a public open meeting. It's just correspondence. But if I keep doing that, this one says a majority, but that's fine.
The last thing on page 16, the nomination and voting procedure doesn't apply to us at all. We're nominating new members of the planning board.
Yeah, we don't do that.
I think we could just eliminate D altogether because all that nominations by the council.
Yeah, I was reading as nominating a chair and vice chair, but you're right.
So, based on all that discussion, I guess we'll see a final copy at the next meeting.
Yes, and I've taken notes during this. If you guys want to provide me any notes that you have written down as well, and I'll go through them and compare them to the notes I've taken,
Okay.
and we'll get them to Chief and to Kimberly, and I guess you'll move forward to attorney as you deem appropriate.
Correct.
That's good.
Wes,
Did we take a quick 5-minute recess?
no more than 5. Hold on. Yes, so a motion to take a 5-minute recess. Second. Favor?
Aye.
recess is ending. Back in regular session of the planning board. Moving on to new business item 6.2, the land use plan rewrite. Mr. Wes McLeod, our consultant, shall take over.
Okay.
Thank you.
Apologies. Yes, thank you for having me here today. We're here to talk about the land use plan, give a status update, where things are, and then dive into reviewing some of the material. We'll do quick survey update. I do want to, we need to settle on a public input, our first public input meeting date as well. We'll review chapter 1 and 2, and then you've got your additional homework here today. There on the project website, this PDF should be on there, and then we can make sure that it is made available.
I think it's linked through the tab land use plan from the website. You click on that, that'll open up 2 links. One of them will take you to this website. Got it? Okay.
Thank you, Ken. So just quick rehash where we are. Again, want to make sure we note here anticipated timeline. February 19th, we're reviewing the first 2 chapters, and you're being and today you're going to get your chapter 3 natural systems analysis. Moving forward, we'll have we contemplated a our first public engagement session. Could be, which it's not going to be at this point in February, March or April. We'll meet again in March, and for review of what you've got today and provide some additional information. And anyways, we'll proceed on until hopefully we get to consensus on a final draft that can be recommended to the town council. Okay. Questions about that same timeline? Just update where we are.
What? Well, okay. So next, we need to decide today. You said on when the first.
I will. I got that next slide. And let me add one more thing, if I may. Based on what you all have on your agenda, let's say in March or an upcoming meeting, we're not contemplated to meet in April, but in May. You've got a host of agenda items that are not land use plan related. We may need to think about just holding a separate meeting.
A special meeting?
Yes. Dare I get into the into that?
We can have public comment.
We can have public comment. Just so one, to be judicious with you guys' times, but also in case folks are wanting to cue in on the land use plan specifically, they wouldn't have to go through other whatever it may be. So just keep that in mind, and we'll try to make sure that we're aware of what your agenda looks like as well.
So you're planning on being here next month?
Yes, sir. Yes. And I'm not sure that the only thing that you may have on your agenda, unless I'm mistaken, is you're just going to be,
as far as I know,
is the revised, rules and procedure. So, which should not take 2 hours, but it could, an hour. So, anyways,
okay.
As of now, we're going to be here March 19th. Let me give you a brief update on the community survey before we talk about the public input meeting. So, great job, by our citizens here. Since we met in January, we've seen an increase of 334 responses. I just checked it before this meeting, actually, and it was 1183. So 335 responses. So that's a full increase, a full 39% increase in your participation level, which is pretty dramatic. And so
now the 2016 survey,
yes,
had my recollection somewhere in the 900s.
That's a very good question. I don't have that in front of me.
It's okay. Let's say it's 950.
Yep.
Okay, so we're seeing 200. I guess what I'm trying to
can find
track
out.
here is, are the increased responses,
Can you see if you can find that?
are the increased responses just a function of the increased population and reflect the same measure of participation from 2016? Or is this a significant increase in the participation rate?
I can't answer that with any necessary level of 100% certainty, but I think it's a combination of things. Most likely, population is substantially increased here since that time. So I think that's likely
our-
capturing.
Is our intent to keep this open
So that's
through the first public engagement?
let me share. That's a great question. Can I share just sort of the difference here? Because I just want to share with the board what we're seeing. Has this 39% increase in responses had a measurable change, right? And so that may help answer your question. So January results here. This is what we shared. What do you think the most important growth and development issues facing Sunset Beach? Protecting natural resources, etc. 67.1% of respondents, followed by expanding town services at 53.77. February, we're at 68.78 on protecting natural resources and 52.54% on expanding town services. In other words, throughout the survey, we're not seeing a meaningful difference in what our results are showing. And I can show you this exactly in terms of the difference between the percent change difference between on question one.
Well, as you add to the sample sizes, the changes are going to be smaller.
So bingo. And so the question, and I'll share with you this question as well. Just to further reiterate this. This is a January results on if privately owned undeveloped land is to be built on, what kind of new development would you like to see? Number one, recreation and entertainment, etc. 68.51, followed by restaurants and cafes. So 68.95% and 55.33. For all intents and purposes, identical. Our results are identical. And so overall, again, natural resource protection, top priority. Strong preference for low density growth, infrastructure capacity, and water supply are concerns. Seasonal congestion and beach access, and then recreation parks, obviously favored. I mean, these are things that we talked about. So, point being, survey trends are consistent. And so, for this board, we talked last month, about establishing a sunset date for this survey. Are you guys feeling that you want to continue to have this open, or do you want to go ahead and try to set a date certain at which folks need to take the survey?
My initial thought would be keep it open to just after the first engagement
Okay.
meeting,
Okay.
because I'm sure this will be presented to them
Yes, sir.
as here's the snapshot of what we got right now.
Okay. Yep.
And if someone feels strongly about an item that's not receiving much vote
Sure.
and they didn't complete the survey,
Yep.
they might be somewhat enticed for, like, give them, you got, if we do it on a Wednesday, you got till Friday night to do this,
Sure.
go home and complete it. I think we'll get a last bit surge at that point.
Okay.
Because they'll say, well, I don't agree with that. Well, did you do a survey? Well, I forgot.
Okay.
I would say that when we picked the first in public engagement, that
Yep.
we obviously would present this as snapshot data of
Where we are.
a couple days before, because you got to complete the slides or whatever.
Okay.
And then say you got till X date
Yep.
and time, and the survey is done. So if you got last minute thoughts,
Yep.
now's the time.
Okay.
And then, because the second, and we have this, that gives us the final snapshot then as we progress and we get to the final public.
Sure.
Here's the final survey.
Okay.
Does everybody, to move along, anyone disagree with that?
No, I think that's,
Okay.
I totally agree with that.
Okay.
The issue that
Richard?
I'm
said,
having is,
anybody disagree with that?
yeah, I know. Put it on the checklist.
Put him on the timer.
My concern is in conversations concerning the 2016 survey, in which there was 1,000 participants, I would get this message back. Well, nobody asked me.
Well, that's why I
Now,
said-
from a statistical viewpoint, this is well above the requirement to be statistically valid.
which is why I made my suggestion, so that I'm sure
Yep.
we're going to advertise this public engagement
Yep.
heavily,
Yep.
and they'll get to see the survey, and they'll get a last chance. We can
Yep.
put it right at the exit door.
Sure.
Exactly.
Last chance to put your
Yep.
input in the survey.
Be
Yep.
there, be square.
It's like getting married, or forever hold your peace.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So, all right. Well, let's figure out our public input meeting date because these two may relate. And thank you, Ron, for pulling that. So the last survey had 914 responses. So we've eclipsed that, which initially was certainly my goal to do. So let's just talk. I want to talk. We spoke about this, but just want to share again with the board and with the public folks that are participating online, if anybody is still doing so. The public input meeting format, there'll be a presentation facilitation by the consultant. I'm going to share information that you guys have heard before. Again, you're not required to attend. If you come, great. You're going to hear some things you've already heard. So my apologies for that. But we need to share with folks that are, this is new to them, what a comprehensive plan is, what's the purpose of it, things of that nature. We'll talk about some of the demographic trends that you guys have in your chapter 1 and 2, and then also talk about what our survey results are to date, depending on when we hold that meeting.
And then I would add another dot, notification of end date.
Notification of end date, yes. Yeah, and so part of that I will come back to because we need to settle on the date for this public input meeting, and that may relate to when the end date for the survey is. So, but after that presentation, really the balance of the meeting, the majority of the meeting is going to be dedicated to some facilitated input that we're going to get from our attendees on things that are important in Sunset Beach.
So if we adopt these rules we looked at today, before then,
Yeah.
we're allowed to come to that meeting? All of us?
Yeah. So
Because it is a planning board
yes. So
topic, are we not?
so here two things.
Do we have to
One,
stand 10 feet apart?
no, you don't. Remember, you guys are allowed to. This would be considered to be. This is right in the open meetings law. You're allowed to go to to things. All members can be there, but you're not allowed to sit in a corner and talk about public business. So similar, if everyone's at a concert, same with council. It may be a majority of members there, but it doesn't necessarily constitute an open meeting if you're there on a social basis, but not conducting town business.
I would think this is not this would not be a social gathering. This would be a business gathering.
It is typically, it's going to be advertised though. So just so you know, so it's still going to be
I'm just saying,
advertised.
what is the recommended conduct for if we all 5 show up or 4?
Generally you are there when we hold these meetings in other jurisdictions as your individual self. Now, I think that if you guys attend, we'll probably make sure to recognize you as same as any counselor or any other advisory
Should
board
we answer
members.
questions?
You are going to be grouped around, with your other colleagues and neighbors, and so you're not going to be asked to answer questions, specifically. Any questions that get asked, I will be responsible for answering.
I don't want the chief to arrest me and throw me in jail.
He's not going to arrest you and throw you in jail.
Well, Wes, let me
And again, remember, this is going to be advertised. It's not like this is being done.
I just want to
behind
make sure we don't
closed-
run afoul
No,
of
you're
something.
not. You're
'Cause
not running.
If
Yeah.
someone comes up to me and asks a question,
Yeah.
and I give them what I think is an honest
Yeah.
answer, and let's say I'm wrong. It
Yeah,
has
If you don't
happened,
know,
believe
sure,
it or not.
just say you need to follow up with the plan consultant
Right.
or town staff.
So do we need like a disclaimer on
No.
the call?
No.
I mean,
Okay,
it
let's
gets-
go
It
on.
gets a little. I mean, for instance, the 904 meetings, which were an array of presentations. There were people stationed at those
Mhm.
that some were on CDOT, some
Yeah.
were the consultants. Is that the format?
So
we're talking about?
this is a very one that is that has a different scope, different budget than our project here. but this is going to be more of a facilitated meeting. I think that was more of an open house format.
Yes.
And so, my purpose here on this is everyone's going to be there and they're going to be able to be engaged, and we're purposely going to share with them what they're there for. But then, depending on the number of folks that we have, and I suspect we're going to have a decent amount, folks are going to be put into groups and they're going to be tasked with, coming up with things related to the town. What are the town's assets? What are some of the issues? And what are some of the long-term desires? All that then is going to be shared back group by group and going to be written up on flipboards, posted all around the room. As folks exit, they'll be given dots to help rank what those things are. And so all that will then be cataloged and put into the plan specifically. So that, it is, in that sense, it is going to be more facilitated. Now, if folks have individual questions, my hope is that those can be answered outside of that session so we don't get bogged down. And that, we're going to be around and can engage with each individual group.
Like write questions and read for us?
Sure. Yes. But I think really it's about, getting feedback from folks, about these three specific things. And we know that a number of these attendees already have probably, thankfully, provided input on the survey. I know that survey is only 10 questions and not 50. The only other part of that is, when it's hard to get folks to take a 50% question.
Would it be possible during this, because it sounds like there will be kind of a presentation portion of this.
Yes.
Am I right?
There is, yes.
To provide some education, if you will, about how the land use plan, first off, I don't think people understand that there's a North Carolina state law that says if you're a municipality, control your zoning.
Yes.
You don't have a quote unquote current land use plan.
Sure.
The state has the right to revoke your zoning.
That will be shared. Remember some of the background information that I've shared with you guys about why do a land use plan? Almost verbatim, that information is going to be shared. Okay. So, that.
All right.
You know,
cool.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I mean, when I read the 2017 land use plan, the thing that stuck with me was the phrase almost in the preamble that quote unquote community involvement was sparse.
That was
at all costs.
Sure.
That is what I want to prevent.
That was for the public input meetings that were held. And let's talk about that relates to this. And then in particular, the question below about time of day. So here are the three options in which we know that the community center is available over the course of the next month. And curious to get folks' feedback. This meeting could be held as soon as March 12th. And based on feedback from the planning board, I know there was discussion about, hey, it starts to be mid to late March into April when we're starting to see additional folks, come. So, Mr. Chair, feedback on one of those three dates as a potential option.
Well, I would say March 12th is probably too soon, right?
Yeah.
We haven't gotten through.
Yep.
March 25th.
I will not be here.
Yeah, you're in the tax season for me too, which is usually Wednesdays and Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
is there a way to move that date up to the 22nd or the 23rd? I mean, what are the limitations here?
it's the room probably, right?
It's the room.
Yeah.
Quiet here. Well,
To change it too.
shoot, Siri.
Has a mind of its own.
But I mean, I would certainly like to come for sure.
Yeah, I very much.
The 25th is out for you completely?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I could be.
We don't
here,
have the 26th available, do we?
I could check. But,
Does anybody know the schedule of the building?
Amy is
Do they
the
have
one.
voting there? Do they have voting yet? Is that what they're doing?
That'll be over by then.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
It'll be
March
over.
26th.
Yeah, and after the 25th, I'm gone for the week.
Oh,
So it'd have to be
23rd?
the 23rd.
The 23rd is
the
not
prior
available.
week.
Mm. You
Yeah.
24th?
I'm out.
It. What about the 22nd? The
22nd's
of,
fine.
of April.
Or the 21st.
Or in April now?
21st is not available. April 21st is not available.
I'm fine the 22nd of April because tax day is over. So I'm open the 22nd. It just seemed a
Yeah,
little
that's
long.
fine with me.
April 22nd?
No, March 22nd.
No, we're on
Eight-
April.
We're on
We're
to April.
talking March.
No, March you bounced out really.
Yeah, March 22nd.
You killed March.
You killed March. Yeah. So April 22nd?
Well, why are we changing? Oh, you're not available on the 25th?
Not really. Still doing taxes.
I thought you weren't available.
you were
on
not
the
available.
25th.
I am not available on March 25th.
Neither would I really be
So
unless
that's
it's
why
late.
we bumped to April.
Oh, so we're going to have 2 meetings in April.
No,
No, probably April and then
Yeah, there'd be another one towards once we get a little bit further
June,
on in
probably.
the process.
June,
Yes.
July.
June probably.
Yeah.
So our first meeting would be April 25th.
Second.
22nd.
Sorry. All right, hold on.
So
Yeah.
April 22nd, what, and then what?
Mike, how about you?
22nd's fine. Yeah,
Okay,
available.
that's fine.
Okay. So we're also scheduled to meet here on March 19th. And Kimberly, do you know if it happens to be available on March 19th? Because I'm curious. You guys would potentially have to do double duty on that date.
Well, let's go with April 22nd.
Okay.
And
And-
I'm okay with, well, anytime, but I guess for most people, I would say 2 to 3.
That's okay.
Don't you think?
Yep.
Really?
People tend to get stuff done in the morning, and then early afternoon. It could be just before dinner time.
Yeah.
2 to 4, it's fine with me.
When were the 904 meetings? What time do we?
They were like 4 o'clock. They were
Yeah.
later, 4
Yeah.
to 6. I'm okay
They were
with
pretty
2
well
to 4,
attended.
3 to 4, 5, or
And the 31 bypass, what time was that held?
I don't know.
Because that was really well attended.
I would say 2 to 4.
2 to 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Um,
So the other thing that I want to mention then is that, I think that we could advertise that on the meeting for March 19th, which is going to be a planning board meeting, that we could have a dedicated public comment section for the land use plan, given that we're having to move out into April. And if folks want to attend and share about the land use plan, absolutely, that would be a good opportunity for them
at
to
which
do so.
meeting? The March meeting?
March 19th.
I-
Yeah,
I- if
We could
if-
add that as agenda, a public comment.
and we
on-
may not have anybody, but at least we're providing that opportunity.
I think that'd
yeah,
be a great
that's
idea.
fine.
Okay.
That's good.
At this point, I'm not aware of any items other than maybe the rules of procedures for the March 19th meeting.
Perfect. Okay.
And then your updates.
But we
of
could
course.
bracket out in the agenda.
Yep.
Public comment period for
Land use plan
land use plan review.
and growth management.
Yes.
Anything that
Well,
folks want to share.
If
Yeah.
you just put land use plan, you'll get leakage.
Yeah. Sure.
If you give it
Yeah.
more specific, it'll still leak out,
Sure.
but try to keep it as specific as we can.
Okay.
Okay? So-
All right. So that said, and this doesn't necessarily hurt anything, as we've seen the survey results are unlikely to change.
And then we would call. what
We're
day is that?
probably into May,
And
the
then I
end
would
of
say
April
when we
for
do
closing.
that, the end of the survey is April 24th at 5 p.m.
Okay, or something to
Something
that
like
effect.
that.
Okay.
So if they leave that engagement meeting and they got last minute urge to do a survey, that gives them to that Friday night to do the survey and be done with it. Then you
Okay.
can close it out.
Wonderful. And I'll see you guys obviously again in March 19th before this. So we won't need to rehash all this, but we'll plan, hopefully we'll make sure that there's a public comment item specifically for the land use plan when we meet in March. 2 to
and-
4
and
p.m.
And if I may,
Yes,
in
sir.
terms of trying to get public participation, I'm not sure how much time has been spent at the town council level promoting this.
Sure. So
I defer to
that's
Christie,
a great,
maybe but
yeah, that's a great question. I
mean,
think
because I spent a fair amount of time on social media pounding away on this. And I think it would be helpful for the council and individual members to promote this as well, because I will bet you dollars to donuts when we do the math between population and participation in 2016 and 2025, I will bet you it's the same number. Because we've got increased population now, and we've seen maybe a 25% increase in participation from 2016. My recollection is population growth is about in that bracket.
Sure.
So what I want to see is increased participation based on the percentage of population relative to 2016 and 2025.
10-4. Well, so
No,
Can we
No.
have that as part of
it's
public
not a
comment?
public comment period.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. We will shortly have a public comment period.
All right.
I would this is not necessarily part of what we anticipated, but I do hope that maybe the land use plan could be on a upcoming council agenda, just so I could and I'll get with staff on this, just give them an update at one of their regular meetings, and we'll, I don't know where that will be, the next couple months or whatever, but that would be my goal as well,
Okay.
Before the public engagement meeting.
if possible. But I'm not
No,
in charge of
I
that
would be-
agenda.
That would be the suggestion, I would guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I make a
No,
quick motion to allow? Sounds like Christie's got an 11:30 meeting. Can I make a quick motion to provide an opportunity for her to make her comments at this time?
That's fine.
sure, go ahead.
Can I make a motion that we allow Christie 3 minutes for her comments pertaining to the council involvement in the land use plan?
Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No nays? We invite the council for 3 minutes of comments. I think that's the first.
Thanks, Richard. I hadn't planned to talk today. Christy Batchelor, 428 27th Street, Sunset Beach. I happen to be a resident and on town council. And I've talked to Wes in detail, mentioned her on things. I've seen Richard's stuff you post on social media. That was great. I've seen Stuart at a couple meetings this week talking about engagement and folks to get involved. It is very concerning to me in November, whenever this was initially scheduled to quote kick off, that meeting got canceled and it was moved to the first week in November. So that's one thing. That happened to be Thanksgiving week. I was out of town. I did watch it remotely, but there weren't many people here. I feel like the survey's good. In speaking to West on the plansunsetbeach.com the other week when we met, the survey wasn't even out there. There was no information prior to our meeting that morning. So to me, there was a lack of information even on the website we're pushing out. It said coming soon. So to me, all of that needs to be out there. It's since been out there, but that's recently. So we went 2.5 months with nothing really out there, no details related. We do have vehicles to push this out, and I think it's very important. I think, like I told Wes today, the fact this is on the meeting and you really have 3 people that are here, there's one person watching online. And when it's embedded 2 hours into a meeting, I know I came kind of specifically for the land use. I do watch the meetings online when I'm not here, but I'm often in other meetings. But I do feel like to get our community engaged, like you're talking about, Richard, we've got to work on that. We're spending lots of money to do this land use. And the survey of 10 questions is very limited. And in being that limited, I also know people that have taken the survey 20 times, they've told me, because there's no limit. You can go out there and take it. So to me, what is the true data we're getting on that? Are we getting a small population of people? And a lot more people are online now than were in 2016, 2017 when this was done. So I do feel like we need to push it through all avenues to get feedback and things. And even like whatever's discussed, the sections, do we want people to just wait till y'all approve it and y'all present it to council? Is that how we want to have our engagement? To me, we need to be more engaged. We need to have this room full whenever it's being discussed. We need to have people watching online. We need to promote it. For this section, we need to say, this is the section we're discussing today, and these are the items that fall in that section, so that a resident who maybe doesn't follow everything within every agenda, and even on the agenda for this week, this presentation wasn't out there. So to me, even if you're looking at it, you don't know that's what was being discussed, or we need to give them the highlight reel to know this is what's being discussed if we truly want them engaged. So that's my only feedback. And
Okay.
just to look at moving forward, that I want more people engaged, and I think y'all do as well, but do we not want them engaged until that one meeting, whether you can make it or not? Even as a group, even as our council, we all with our schedules a month out, we have stuff going on. We have a life, we have other meeting commitments.
Okay.
But moving forward, we want people engaged. We want to hear what they say. We all do, I think, but we're not seeing that yet, I guess.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Chrissy.
So, I can't engage, but I guess we agree.
Yeah. Question is how?
Well,
Uh,
we
so-
can stretch out the schedule as long as anybody wants.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. Typically, yeah. I mean, I'll say, and I think it is 100%. We goal is to get as much input as possible. I can tell you that this plan already has far more input than is typically the norm. We can go up the road in Shalot, and we would be begging to have 200 people take this survey. And
So, well, I agree with Richard.
yeah,
We just need to keep promoting it through the council if they can. They seem to be, like what I hear there is they would be happy to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, on the survey, I mean, we kind of knew that.
Well, I think
I thought we had pretty good discussion on the questionnaires.
Yep.
We had a lot of people here that day, and we went through question by question by question and came to a pretty good consensus of what's on there. So, but we certainly can delay this if people want it delayed and provide more time for questionnaires or
We're-
provide more public
that's-
engagement
that's right.
hearings, and we could be finished at the end of next year if they want.
Yeah, and we're not closing the survey anytime soon. So, and yep.
So we could keep the survey longer after the first engagement meeting.
Yep.
If you want to stretch that out more, but
As long as
Well,
we need-
I'm glad Christy was here. I wish Katie had also been here, because I think there is some tension that this was an initiative passed by the previous council, and
that's
so there's been a certain
we were.
reluctance to kind of embrace.
I don't care about any of that. We were given this task to do it, and we're going to do it. If they
Yep.
would like to extend the schedule, they can tell us to do that.
Great.
So we are going to proceed on this. I think there's a full consensus of this board that, and we on everything we do, we are open to and encourage and want constructive public comment
Yep.
in whatever vehicle we can get that in. I don't know any details about when I took the survey. It didn't work for a day or two, but a couple of days later it was working. I'm not sure what this delay thing was, but it worked for me. I don't know. Staff has to work this out, not our problem.
Yeah.
But so if we need to extend it longer and staff or somebody tells us there's been glitches in the technology, we'll extend it longer. Right now, the thought is 3 days after the public engagement meeting, we cut it off. If somebody says there's been downtime on the web server or the Survey Monkey
Now,
took a
can they-
vacation, we'll do it longer. So let's keep
Are
proceeding.
multiple entrants eliminated?
No, because you're not asking for an email address.
That's correct.
We
And
discussed
and
that during the meeting.
Issue with tying it to an IP address is it limits a husband and wife from both taking it, and that is, but we can see. I mean, if there are, in the results, if it's clearly evident that there's,
But do we have a record of the IP address of every vote?
I don't. I'd have to go back and look. I think that again, we have 1,100 surveys. If one person took it 20 times,
That's right.
It does not
If you
impact.
increase the
Yeah.
N as
Yeah.
much as possible,
Yep.
that
Yep.
outlier will not affect the results.
Correct.
And probably hasn't already if you
And-
look at it.
No, and
So-
and again, like I said, this is a generalized survey about open-ended feedback from
Right.
folks. We're not doing a recreation plan trying to figure out if we're going to do a baseball field or aquatic center or whatever, where that type of thing can be more problematic. And so, yep. Anyways,
Okay, so let's.
Let's proceed.
How do you want to handle this now? Since
Okay, there we go. We're into review.
I mean, I have a lot of stuff,
Shocked.
but I don't know if we want to go through that because it's going to be another miserable page by page thing. I don't know if that's what you want to do or not.
I'll add that I have received some grammatical items from Stuart that'll all be incorporated.
So my thought is because sort of my patience is thinning out. On chapter 1, I'll give you some of my highlights only, and I'll certainly maybe just give this to you when we're done.
That's great, Mr. Chair, if you're comfortable with that.
And then I'll finish my chapter 1 and anyway else. On chapter 1, on the page 4 of this thing, I guess, my first thing was your expanded and improved transportation infrastructure, including roads, highways, and bridges. I guess I don't agree with any of that first thing on why people come here, but I think remote work had something to do with it. And other than a bridge, I don't really know about any improved infrastructure getting here, but okay, and it's highlighted here when I'll just give you my copy. Sure. And then from a format standpoint, I hate that 2/3, 1/3 sidebar, unless you're doing a sidebar. Okay, split the column evenly, or in places where you do have a sidebar of other information, it's okay. I just don't like the format. So that's what that note is. Like on this page, on page 8, where you have the information on the sidebar is separate. It's kind of supporting of it. It's okay to do it. I don't like that
where it bleeds over.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if it's a real, I mean, this thing is not just the text going around. It's a formatting thing, just as an irritant. So I'm trying to go quickly here. Grammatical errors, I'm sure you're formed. Then I got to page 10, vision statement. I thought we did work on a vision statement. Do we have a draft of a vision statement?
No, that we're not gonna. I mean, that would be towards the tail end of when we're putting together the final draft.
Okay.
And because we want to have a public public input meeting first, and then we want to really dive into the results of the survey to help develop the vision statement. You guys can be thinking about that, but I think it's too early to do that.
Okay, so what we think, so that would be somewhere right around April? We look at that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's likely that
'Cause
probably in your May meeting.
Probably May, okay.
Yeah, we would be trying to refine a vision statement, but
Do we want to have a draft, a preliminary draft in April?
we could I mean, we could start on a draft in March too.
Well, I'm thinking April.
I don't.
Well, it'd be nice to have.
We don't meet.
He's not here in April.
We don't meet
I'm
in
sorry.
April. In this capacity, we
Right.
don't meet in April. So,
I mean, I'm fine with taking kind of a flying leap at it.
Sure.
It's just be nice to have something for people to
Well, I would-
comment off of at the April.
I think we need to agree on it before,
yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
agree on a draft. We can propose it, but yeah.
How about this? I will have on my task for in March to bring you something in very draft form to start thinking about.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think there's probably a template from other land use plans.
Well, you have. I mean, you have a vision statement now, and so obviously we would take a first look at how that relates to where we are today. But yes, I'll work on that between now and your March meeting.
Okay. Anything else on chapter 1, Michael?
No,
That are
I'm
significant? If you have any markups, you certainly can just give them to Wes, and he'll have to deal with the markups. Stuart,
Of course.
any major items you want to bring?
Nothing
publicly
major.
bring?
On page 8,
Mhm.
where you've got the little highlighted paragraph for more information about CAMA handbook for development, can we do a link
Sure.
or an address
Yep.
for them? So if we've piqued their interest, then they could just,
Yep.
find a place to go. Page 12, the only thing I had was at the bottom, there's a big, sorry, excuse me. There's a big gap at the bottom of page 12.
White space.
Yeah, it'd be a great place to put in a sand castle or something like that.
Oh, you got one? A
Oh,
picture?
Oh, just
Plenty.
just thousands.
I'm for saying.
That is actually a really good. If you all have any
Photos?
and I should have asked this before because I think it's great. If you guys have any photos that you feel like would be great in this plan, please do send them to Kimberly to send our way because I think it's great to have especially locals presence on their things that
Yeah,
they
I was
like.
going to ask that
Yeah.
later if the pictures were specific to the chapters. Maybe
Yep.
maybe there's a way to make them more specific to the chapters.
We can work on that.
Yeah, so
and-
if anyone has photos, you can send them to
yeah,
Kimberly.
and she can if she's okay with that. and then she
Collecting, make
can-
a folder of
she
pictures.
can send them to me. That'd be great. Thank you.
That's all I had on chapter 1.
Richard, anything on chapter 1?
No, I'm good.
Chapter 2, community profile. And again, I'll just give you my copy because I have, again, there's formatting things you can look at.
Okay.
Couple of things that, to me, in my mind, our basis for any change to numbers should be like no earlier than 2000. It's okay for information given those 1990 numbers, but you might not be able to read some of my notes on here, but sometimes referring to the growth from 1990 just seems just a little wide to be relevant. It's okay to, I see putting it there, but to me, the base year should be closer to where we're at. In general, there are some notes in here.
Okay. Should we make sure then if we're going to use 1990, and I think it's mentioned in here, but perhaps it needs to be further clarified. In 1990, the town existed as the island, and
Or so. It's just that it
Right.
just becomes even that
Well,
when you're
were the-
looking at percent changes and stuff, it should be like on this first table, you did the percent changes from 2020, which is fine. But in other places, you refer back to the change from 1990. It just seems, just when you read, there's some highlights I got here, but just think it over that it's kind of too far of a reach back to be relevant.
When was the last annexation?
well, Logan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Well, I mean, yeah, but
last
there's
year.
no population there.
so up until I believe one of the last ones would occurred in 2009, 2010. Significant ones were through the 90s, late 90s, and early in 2000s. And so that's mentioned in here too. And I think that the only, and Mr. Chair, and I'm not, I don't want it to seem as though the town has had this crazy amount of growth, but
Yeah,
it just,
I mean, there's like 1,400% or whatever.
sure,
Right?
but it just provides context that the town was contemplated initially as an island jurisdiction, and
Yeah.
and now it is no longer. And
But-
that what I
But
mean?
we are updating a plan that was done in 2015
Yeah.
and 16,
Yep.
reaching. So I'd like to at least base it on
Okay.
something in this that leads with a 2. Okay, just when you're reviewing it, you'll see some of my
Okay.
reds here. That's what I'm trying to get. And
Yeah, I
then
think
in
I
a
think
lot
it's
of
pretty
your
important
things,
to have 2010 as a base.
or something like two. But in a lot of your things, you sources the 2023 American Community Survey,
Mhm.
but you don't state like on these bar chart what year is that for? Is that for 23 or 22? Some places you put in parentheses
it.
the year.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. 2023 when it's non-population data.
Right. So if you just
Yep.
Okay.
I'll add that.
and then in the population data,
What page are you on?
So, for example, this would
page
be
16.
page 16, figure 2.1.
I mean, is the data year 2023?
Yes,
Just-
sir.
And
That
some
would
of
be-
them you put parentheses in
Yep.
the year just to be clear on that.
Yep.
And in the population data, great. I was wondering, is there any way for us to get an additional piece of information, like the number of vehicles that are garaged in Sunset Beach, including ETJ? We're
Right.
counting heads,
Yep.
which is okay. I have no problem counting heads.
Yep.
But can we also count? Traffic always comes up.
Yep.
Is there a way, like from the state licensing, how many vehicles are in,
I
who
don't-
also show their home as Sunset Beach?
I don't.
I-
Let me make that as. I've
It's
never
written on
pulled
here.
that
It's an
data.
added suggestion.
I don't know. that might be the chief may have access to that. I don't
Because
know.
Brunswick, I mean, the state of North Carolina provides a license all the time and knows where we're at.
I
I
just
don't know if that's public information or not.
I don't.
It's a suggestion because county heads is fine, but again, traffic, when people
Yeah.
talk about infrastructure,
Yep. There will be discussion on traffic counts.
so I'm just wondering, knowing the number, I'm assuming it kind of follows the population growth, but I don't know. I mean, I have 3 vehicles. I mean, there's 2 of us and 3 vehicles, but to me, it seemed like this traffic and roads, I think it comes up in the survey, sort of, right?
It does.
So that if we also could know the number of vehicles in Sunset, not, I mean, obviously some drive in and out, might be a useful point of information. I'm trying to go quickly here. The other thing I'm a little confused on, in a number of places you talk about housing units,
Mm-hmm.
what are permanently occupied, what's a seasonal. I hate the word vacant,
Yep.
occasional, and it seems even the numbers are a bit inconsistent on what's what. And I guess my thought is, and both can argue with me, I view housing as 3 types: permanently occupied, a second home,
So occasionally occupied,
or occasionally occupied, and then a rental. That
and
means
then
you
seasonal.
occupy less than 14 days because it screws up your taxes. You know, and to me, that would be, I'm not sure that's what we got here. Is that what you were trying to get to?
And one, it is the data. The way that it is cataloged is confusing. The way the census catalogs it is if the housing unit is occupied on a full-time basis, and then there's a further distinction of whether there's not a full-time resident there. It could be vacant, or it could be used vacant and used for a seasonal purpose. And so the reporting data on that is not the best, but in coastal jurisdictions, typically if the unit is vacant, there's a good chance that it is a seasonal housing unit.
Right. Like I say, if you look at some of these numbers here, they're not exactly consistent.
I'll take a look at what we've tried
It
to
could be
make sure.
because the year's not consistent. It could be. What's 2000? What's 2024? What's 2023?
If there's 20, so any data from the survey, and it says this in the very first paragraph of the whole plan. We have to use our best available data to try to sparse together to provide the best picture and context of the town. We have population data through 2024. We have census data, which gets into housing units and things like that through 2023. And then we can amend some of the housing data based on permit data that's issued here locally. And that's what increases that number. And so between the 3,
I guess I made a note here to myself that 725.
which page?
So I think I'm comparing page 18 to 23. So table 2.3 to 2.6. So I don't want you to sort it out now.
No,
There's
that's
some
okay.
notes here.
Yep. No,
I'll
take your notes.
Right.
And we may be able to get I'll see if we can get your notes copied, or unless you brought a copy.
And it's sort of the thought of where I was going with the vehicles too, because if there's a lot of second homes, their vehicles probably registered at their first home. We may see a divergent in some of the numbers. That's why I was trying to make sure we sort out what I consider a primary residence,
Yep.
which you're saying is defined as a permanently occupied home.
Mm-hmm.
What is, in my mind, a second home, which is not your primary residence, but not rented out for more than 14 days. And
So-
then there's a rental, which is the flip.
Yep.
It means you own it, but you use it as a rental, which may be a lot of the island properties. I don't even know.
So
That we're sort of looking at it that way. If you can't get the data, fine.
I'll just, and I need to clarify then, I'll just
Right.
tell you real quick what the distinction is here. So on page 18, table 2.3, this is actually seasonal, what is considered to be vacant housing dedicated for seasonal purposes, 2,118 units. There are a total of the 2,843 vacant units in town, of which 2,118 are considered to be seasonal for vacation purposes. And so what that table probably just needs to make sure that it clarifies is that's seasonal only. And I will make sure to update that, Mr. Chair. But
Well,
it
do the
is-
best you can, I'm
yeah.
saying that. But if it's not there,
the on table 2.6, page 23, that two again, the number is combined, but I'll make sure that that's updated and make sure that that is further clarified. Just know that whenever this data is shared, it is always confusing. So,
right. Let's see, any quickly you find that you can have towards,
Now this is,
and then quick, well,
go ahead, I'm
I'll be
sorry.
done shortly, then I'll turn it over. On table 2.4, on page 20, we show the projection to 2040 on that table. Can I get a percent change column there added? That's what my note will mean here.
What page are we on?
Since page 20, since 2040 is this plan?
Got it.
a percent change.
Yeah, from 2024 to 2040.
Yep.
It's kind of what this plan is sort of for. Sunset Beach 2040.
Got it.
And there's some other places where you use 2050 or longer. I guess my preference is to project to 2040.
We're required to project out for compliance purposes for DCM. So
That's fine.
yeah,
Okay.
I-
If that's a
I
rule,
think-
if
yeah.
that's a rule, follow the rule.
I do note in here somewhere, I believe that, data much beyond 2040,
Yeah.
don't put much stock in it.
And again, I'm trying to just, again, I'm going to give you this so you can,
Sure.
on page, everybody else is going to get a chance. Don't get nervous, everybody. On page 25, table 2.4, I would like to see that by residences, and the only change would be to duplexes. A single family is one residence, right? A townhome or condo, I would go townhome/condo, I'm assuming what you mean there, is one resident, but the duplexes are two residences.
It's one. So if there's 34,
Well, that's what I mean. I don't think it's accurate. This chart should be corrected to count the duplexes as two.
it would be the 34 would
It's
be
17 townhomes?
it's
I mean,
17. Yes.
So that 34, so the 34 is actually 17
duplexes.
buildings.
Yeah.
I guess then I would like to see that maybe next to the word. I didn't understand. I thought that 34 was 34 duplexes, but this is actually residences.
It's how the unit type is classified.
Okay. And I would put the total on the top of the cut bar, but that you'll see that on the notes here. 2.7 owner occupied housing value. I guess I don't buy the thing really. Certainly doesn't match the tax bills. I don't know. I have a hard time buying that 354, 300 you got, but I'll got some markups here. You'll see that, and that seems awful low for Sunset Beach, but the total mix might get you there, I guess.
It is the
Yeah.
reason is that it's the number of condo units, things like that, and stuff that's around here. The distinction between Ocean Isle Beach in particular is Ocean Isle doesn't really have any mainland.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Yes, it is. Yes.
And it's funny, you compare that later to the income ranges, which I just thought was hilarious. Bald Head Island on figure 2.5 has a property, what is this, owner occupant, 1,375,000, yet the median household income for Bald Head Island is 20,500. They are miraculously good budgeters there. On table 2.6.
Wait, table 2.8.
6. It's median household income NC coastal communities. The year probably 23 or 20, I guess 23. Bald Head Island, 20,500.
Page 29.
Page 29.
Hold on.
Yeah. Remarkable.
It's because they're all
Maybe we should all move. to
wealthy
Bald
and
Head
they're
Island.
not. They don't have
Right,
any income.
which is I have in
That's just-
general,
That's just their interest income on their.
They
bank
they have a good CPA. Yeah,
so
I'll double check that.
you can double check that number, and I can say I'm not the owner. Is okay to, I guess
They
this whole income thing I
use
don't
a lot of
ever
cost
like really
segregation.
because income is so. I mean, getting net worth numbers is probably, and I don't know what this adds to this anyway. Your whole income section, it's okay. It's probably normally has to be there, but I don't know what it adds to the thing because I don't think it reflects reality at all. But
Well, I think it reflects that Sunset Beach, in the midst of this collection of beach towns, really is kind of in the middle.
yeah, it lines up.
Yeah, for income.
It's
yeah.
sort of, if you look at the bar charts, it's kind of in the normal.
Yeah.
But again, I don't. All these economic things, I don't know, add that much to this. If you have to put them in because it's required.
I think that it depends on, who's reading this. It may not be Mr. Chair,
Right.
but it could be someone that's considering investing in the town, a developer or whatever. They see the $84,000 median household income versus what the owner occupied housing value. They'd say indicate, well, I mean, these folks maybe have some extra change.
I think it's important to have it in there for developers who are walking in and they can flip to this and say,
But I don't think that accurately reflects the information. Without looking at net worth and some other things, I don't know. I just fine if you think
Sure.
that has to be there and
It
sells the
doesn't.
developer.
But we don't have a way.
I mean, if I was a developer, I would never build anything on Bald Island because they only make $20,000. Reality of that, we know it's.
I mean, Bald Head Island is very restrictive in terms of
Yeah,
commercial
never mind.
applications.
Oh,
I
if it
think
has to
there's
be
a
there, I just.
hotel.
Sure.
If it has to be there, it just seems like information that because it doesn't talk. I mean, we don't know about self-employment. We don't know about a lot of things.
This is just the best available data
Best
that we
available.
have.
So I guess maybe you might have that note there someplace.
That's
don't see
fine.
it,
That's
that this
fine.
is best available data,
Sure.
etc. But I don't know.
Do we have anything more recent on median income? I think there'd probably be something more recent than 2023.
Not the full data source.
Okay.
Not when this was pulled.
All right.
It's trailing typically by a couple years, unfortunately. For example, when the 2020 census came out, I don't think that we had that data until 2023.
Okay.
And the tourism stuff I like. That's good. That's important. The only thing I don't like on page 34
Mm-hmm.
is using the COVID year as the base.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd like to see 2019 there or 21, whatever we got.
I did ask Tara for that actually because I had the same thought that's
those number increases and I wrote down percentages on all those and I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
Mhm.
And then I
Right.
thought about the COVID. And I
Well, you
thought,
make a note there. You say that's the COVID year,
yeah.
but maybe we're better off not using the COVID year if we can't get the information.
See if we can get 2019.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, or 21, whatever, something that's not the.
Would
COVID
you
year.
guys prefer to have 21 or 2019? There's going to be a
I
market
would-
difference.
I would
21 is going to be astronomical compared to 2019.
I think 2019,
I
right?
think 2019 because
Okay.
before COVID,
Okay.
I think.
one of the things too is that what we learned during the pandemic is that Sunset Beach attracted renter income from families that were converting from hotel vacations to residence vacations in response to the pandemic. So it'd be interesting to see 2019 to compare it to 2020 and then have data that goes out past that.
I think that the 2019 data may very well be less than the 2020 in the peak summer
Yes,
months.
it may well
Yeah.
be.
Right. So
That's my anticipation. But yeah, I'll make sure to get that or from the town and have that updated.
Yeah.
Another thing the town will love. On page 35, your accommodation tax. Likewise, 2019, I guess. If we're going to back that up,
Okay.
that one. Is it possible to get that something that tells what's the percentage that of the total tax revenue? I may not like that, but is it
Probably. I don't know.
to cut? to hit home? I mean,
I-
there's
I
nice
think we
big
could-
numbers there, but is
Sure.
that like a bigger percentage of our
I think we
revenue?
could. I
Or is real estate?
should be able to get just a generalized average percent on a year-to-year basis that accommodations tax revenue makes up, in terms of general revenue or budgeted expenses.
Revenue.
Revenue. Okay.
And then I thought September should be added also because I think we're kind of come to May to September is the tourist season right now. I'm trying to go quickly here. And I think I'm 36 in your sidebar part here
Mm-hmm.
where you say that's 36, the first top there, labor force participation is correspondingly low, reflecting a heavy reliance on in-commuting workers to support municipal operation, tourist-related industry, businesses. I think that's a very important line there,
Okay.
especially going forward to think about that. So maybe you can bold that out, and I think that's important. And I want to make sure because what it's saying is we have not a lot of work. In summary, there's not a lot of people to work here
That live here.
because they can't live here for whatever reasons, either the housing prices, the types of housing. So I think that's, especially on the planning board side or planning side, that sentence there to me, and it also occurs, I think, in your housing trends on the end here,
Yeah.
a theme that I want to kind of, that is to me an important theme to be in here.
Because I think
Where was-
that
where-
I think
It's
that
on it's on page 36
Okay.
on your right hand. Again,
Okay.
you got that.
Okay.
two-thirds,
Got it. Got
one-third,
it. Got it. Yes.
right?
Okay. Got
It starts with labor force and ends
Okay.
in tour. To me, that should be like
Okay.
big. I think, I don't know, maybe you guys can, I'm about ready to turn this over because
Yeah,
I've had enough.
I think this is an important point because I
So-
think it speaks to the strategic initiative. I mean, one of the things that Logan did to get 1,600 households passed was make the statement that Sunset Beach needed more housing so people who lived here could work here. And I think there is a sentiment that, is this a community that wants to do that? There's tremendous pressure to build more affordable housing nationwide. And I think one of the questions Sunset Beach has to answer is, do we want to be part of that solution? Or are we content letting it be something that Brunswick County deals with while we continue to build single-family housing that primarily serves a more affluent, retired clientele? That to me is kind of
The
one
question was on the survey and didn't get a lot of good responses, but
Yeah.
I still think we need to keep that in
Yeah.
in there. So I'm done.
Okay.
Stuart,
I'm next.
I guess so.
All right.
You're vice, so turn it over to you.
Okay. Let's see, page 15, the table 2.2. The Sunset Beach number is V.
Yeah. I just saw that. I don't know how that got in there. And so
1852, I think, is the right number.
yeah, that's just I circled that just now.
Mhm.
That needs
Okay.
to be updated.
All right.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to mention that, and I don't know if this is worth pulling out, but out of these 21, coastal towns, Sunset Beach is the 5th largest by population, which kind of stunned me, as small as we are. But
It's due to the mainland population.
right,
Would there be any benefit resorting that? Is it probably an Excel spreadsheet, right? Sorted by 2024, top to bottom.
It could.
I know you're alphabetical now.
Yeah, just so folks can pull that, but I think we could make a note, perhaps, of what Stuart
Well, you made it
alluded
bold
to.
here, which is
Yeah.
good, but
Yeah.
or the other
Well,
alternative is to resort it top to bottom on the 24 population, right?
yeah.
And we show up at the 5th spot or whatever it'd be.
I think if we are, and again, this is moving a couple steps forward, if the land use plan suggests that we are in search of more commercial assets, I mean, a compelling and persuasive argument to a commercial owner is, hey, we're the 5th largest town in a very affluent community.
And kind of
maybe
what
you
I
should-
was getting at is, we're a lot bigger than people think we are.
Yeah.
So maybe resorting 24 population most to least might be useful. Wes can think about that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can think about that. So on table 2.2, you went alphabetical starting at A at the top. On figure 2.1, you went alphabetical with A
Yeah.
on the bottom.
Somehow that's just the way
It's
that.
kind of freaking my engineer brain out.
Let me see if I can get Excel to work properly on that. I don't know why it does that.
Better you than me.
Yeah, if anything, be consistent, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, on page 19, you mentioned as of publication, requested parking data from
yeah.
Otto has not been obtained. Do we have that now?
We do finally have that now. It took a while to get that relief. Thank you, Chief, for sending that email, but we do have that. data.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're
you're
going to
gonna-
update accordingly?
You're
Yep.
going to plug that in then?
Yep.
Yeah, because it's not 500 spaces actually anymore, right? It's 4
No.
something.
Right.
What's, I forget.
I think
Three-
they have 250 spaces, specifically is what it mentioned, but we'll confirm. I need to go back and pull that data
Mhm.
to confirm.
Let's see, on page 21, trying to read my notes. The 6,552 permanent residents by 2060, resulting in the population of 11,320. And I guess, I mean, we pretty much know how many units we're going to have because we just don't have that much more growth to go. It looks like a lot of this is done off of percentages, but couldn't we get pretty close to counting units and lots in the town? And
We could. It's and some of this alludes to that. So one, DCM requires us. Division of Coastal Management requires to utilize this ratio model for
okay.
population projections. But the other thing that it's not quite black and white is because, let's say those 1,600 units are built out, it is hard to contemplate how many of those are actually going to be permanent residents, right? And
Right.
so, and perhaps I can add some additional detail to that, but that's
Okay.
Well, I think the point, the data point is that in terms of residential growth, we're pretty much done in terms of how big the bucket is.
But the bucket's not filled yet at all. Because
It's not filled yet, but we know how many households they're going to be in Sunset Beach by 2030, 35. Okay? Assuming that all these developers who now have conditional zoning approvals or whatever do what they say they're going to do. And I think in terms of the strategic overview, we need to make the point that the land use plan in terms of residential development has kind of reached an apex and gives some sense of what that apex represents.
We don't have anything in here that talks about, or should be, planned residences.
I think there's some reference to this in a couple places, and also in the chapter that you get it prior to the discussion into policies, it notes, hey, for the most part, we're planned for and entitled. Again, we don't know what's going to happen 20 years from now. We got a ton of commercially zoned vacant property. I don't know if that's. I don't want to speculate that could change, but it could.
Yeah, but we don't have to speculate about the volume of approved residential plans.
No, that'll be addressed in here. It's addressed in here.
And that, to some extent, has implications in terms of the land use plan and what do we want to look like in 2040. And in the initial results, we're kind of getting mixed messages. We don't want any more incursion on natural resources, but we want more commercial development.
That's
okay.
That's an interesting dichotomy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I think the thing is, going towards, obviously just using projections as projections, but it's sort of important for the folks to know that, I don't know how to do this, and it might be in the later chapter, based on what's already,
Yep.
and I think maybe you both are going,
Entitled.
what's already planned to happen, our population would go from X to Y
Mhm.
by approximately this.
Yeah, and it
I mean,
and
if we
it
do
does
nothing,
say
that's-
that on page 21. It says these estimates do not account for approximately 2,000 additional residential units that have recently been approved. If 50% of those units are occupied by full-time residents, they could contribute additional 2,000 residents to the town's permanent population.
by when?
Yeah.
Well, we don't know when build out would, that would just presume
Yeah.
build out, and that's why the projection base is gives some semblance.
Well, I think you
Yeah.
can say something based on the expectation that these households will be built by 2030. We can anticipate an additional 2,000 residents. I mean, I'm not,
Yeah.
Probably could always round and use approximately.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the message, we can't go much longer. The message would be sort of give people, well, who read it or see it or bold it out, that there's already a pre-programmed
Yep.
amount coming in, plus or minus in a range in a year. It's how to make sure everybody understands. There's already 2,000 or approximately between 2030 and 2040 that's already programmed. It's in,
And I would say,
that cake's in the oven already.
yeah.
Right.
And I would even add, absent any significant changing to zoning classifications, this is it.
That's true, but you have to.
But you don't know
And I
for
don't
sure.
want to. Don't want to keep beating the
Right.
horse, but you have a ton. You have 2,300 units that are considered to be vacant. If the percentage changes of housing units, if it increases, you have housing units that then are occupied by full-time residents. That changes the formula without development.
Well, I know Stuart's not done, and if you want to finish,
Yeah.
No, I'm not done yet.
okay, go ahead.
Continue. Move on.
And I'm wondering if we need a definition of in-migration.
Sure.
It's
Where
kind
is
of a-
that one specifically?
I
is that
wrote it on page 21, but now
Yeah.
I can't find it. on page-
We can add that.
I'm just curious.
I thought we defined it, but my apologies if not.
On table 2.5, total housing units and the percent change.
Mhm.
It looks like we're growing super fast, but if you take that change over 23 years, it's 3% per year. So I'm wondering if we could say something about that, or
Oh, annualize it? An annual
annualize
check.
it instead of, I don't want people to come in, oh, look, we're growing at 70% rate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
instead of
we're-
doing
we're
a straight, you
not.
could do
We're
an
not.
annual rate of change, right?
Yeah, just a mention.
Yeah, I can.
that.
I'll add it.
It sounds sensational, I guess.
Well, it is sensational if you compare it to a lot of other.
Mm.
If we look
Right.
at northeastern North Carolina, it's
Yeah, but the other thing too,
3% over the 23 years.
yeah, or flat.
the
Yeah,
2,000 number doesn't reflect the impact of annexation. I mean, a lot of those new residents were here before; they just became part of the town.
Mhm.
Okay. I wasn't here that long.
I mean, when was Sandpiper annexed?
I don't know. What, 2011 or so, probably.
Okay, Windfall.
Annexation is mentioned in here in a couple
Yeah.
instances, but we can mention it again. Okay.
Table 2.6.
Yep.
So the total housing units, 3,072 in 2000, 5220 in 2023. The old land use plan
Yep.
said that in 2010 there were 5,110 housing units.
I didn't even look at the old one. Thank God.
I'll double check.
I went back and compared the
Yep.
two to see. I mean, a lot of your numbers totally correlate, but that one kind of stood out to me as
5,102 and
110 in 2010.
that's very possible that it has only increased that much.
Well,
It's gonna accelerate, you know.
right. That's only 100 units and
Well, we had 5 years where almost
nothing. Yeah.
nothing happened, but
Well, worth a check, a double
I'll
check.
double check. Yeah.
Table 2.7 on page 26. You reference the source is a 2023 American Community Survey, but in the table it says Sunset Beach and it says 2000.
Sorry.
The headings.
The headings.
Which I just want to make sure which
Table
figure?
2.7. Your
Table.
headings are 2,000 for each column.
Page 26.
Page 26.
It says it's a 2023 survey, and then Sunset Beach says
Oh,
the headings say.
thank
2000.
you. That's supposed to be 2023. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for finding that.
Then on page 27, I had all kinds of notes about the in 2014 when they did the land use plan. They mentioned specifically, or maybe it was you, mentioned specifically that we were in the top bracket of median owner-occupied home value, and now we're in the lower bracket. And I think that's important. It's a big change since 2014, and I'm wondering if we could talk about that a little bit. And also in here, we're talking about median values, and I think we need to stress more about affordable housing, even though, you know, we're a lower rate median housing type. We're also the old, you know, if you throw out Bald Head, we're the oldest population group. And so I feel like we need more affordable housing than maybe other communities have. I mean, in similar sized communities, if you look at that population chart, their median age is way down compared to us.
Yep.
So I feel like the affordable housing part, I don't want people to say, oh, look, they've handled affordable housing really well. Well, we really haven't. And we need to have more, you know, moving forward.
Okay.
So maybe just more on that. I think I mentioned in my other comments that the color of Sunset Beach seems to be different.
Yeah, this one did.
Mr. Gold.
Yep.
This is another reverse alphabetical.
Okay, Ron will make all these formatting changes.
Is he listening?
He's working
He's
on
moved on to something else.
He's working on it.
I'm only
right now.
kidding.
Well, it's
This
interesting.
is my bailiwick.
This median value of owner occupied, I'm struggling to understand.
So that would not. So the reason that does not, if there's, you guys have very limited. Well, you do have some full-time residents on the island, certainly. You know why it is so high. For example, in Wrightsville Beach and Bald Head, they only have an island jurisdiction,
Right.
and those are full-time residents. Wrightsville Beach, in particular, has a lot of full-time residents that live there. And so, if you have a seasonal unit over there that's not occupied by a full-time resident, and it's worth $2 million, it's not captured here.
Yeah. Now you actually just stated what I was about to state. Because it does throw the numbers off. I mean, if you went single family owner occupied, my guess is the median household would jump to about 500.
Most likely.
Okay.
We just don't have that. It only, unfortunately, it does not distinguish between those.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
Wait.
Mike, you want to go next? Or?
No,
Mike is next.
you guys have covered everything I had.
Yeah.
I was hoping. you
And
would-
I'm pretty much there's two areas where in what we got here, what I'm interested in is more trend line data probably on two things. First thing is demographic age. Anecdotally, when I look around my neighborhood, the senior owners of homes have aged out. And now those homes are being occupied by
Yep.
younger
folks, yeah.
couples. Even the 50-year-old sons and daughters of the original owners that have aged out. So I'm interested to see, are we seeing a trend line where the demographic age is abating, which has implications for the land use plan?
Well,
Second,
you mean talking about median age over time, period.
yeah. And then second,
2019 forward, maybe.
right. And if we can get data, 2024, 2025, it would be great.
Yep.
Because I think this is accelerating. Anyway, second, the trend line in terms of the percentage of permanently occupied homes, and I'm probably not stating this correctly, as opposed to those homes that are being used as rentals.
It's about a 50%
Yeah.
distinction.
And seeing, and
Yeah,
again,
consistent.
anecdotally,
Yep.
what I'm hearing is
Pretty much.
more people are foregoing the rentals of their homes on the island and living in them permanently.
That's what I alluded to. Could
And
seriously
it would be nice,
upend the projection of your
Yeah.
population projection.
because I think that in terms of implications for the land use plan, that has serious implications.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's it for me.
Capture that anyway, or
It is in here, and but we'll talk about it. And I'll just say this one thing because I know we need to move on. I need to give you guys your new stuff. What we saw is a reversal of that trend up until COVID. We were there was some reduction in units being used for rental purposes. That switched across our coast because the revenue that was associated with those units. And so, but we are starting to see a slight reversal of that trend now, where the returns are not what they were, and so there is some altering of that. And we'll move.
And
yeah.
that raises an interesting point, because in terms of the trend line, COVID is going to skew things.
well, that's why we decided like go back to 2019 on some of that stuff.
And it would be interesting to know what impact it had so we can kind of isolate, because what happened at COVID isn't really going to have much impact on what happens in 2030. But the data it generates might confuse
Mhm.
the trend lines that we're trying to look at
Thank you.
so we can make good decisions about going forward. So that's my 2 bits.
Okay.
Okay, and they're handing out.
Yes.
This
Okay.
is number 3.
Yes, sir. Chapter 3. You just one quick thing on that. Obviously, this is draft data. All of these documents. Once you guys, decide, we can share them online and all that good stuff. Typically, that comes towards the tail end. Once we've got revised final copies, but can be placed online. They're public records already. The maps that are on there, those are technically 11 by 17 in digital format. So just remember that when you're looking at it at 8.5 by 11, this plan is typically going to be viewed on a digital basis. So if you pull up on the screen, you'll see it 11 by 17, not 8.5 by 11. And then, there's policies and recommended actions in there at the end of this. Those are based on, one, using past plans as a basis, right? And then 2, understanding where we are in the public input process and the feedback that we've gotten, which is substantial from our survey. So that's what how those policies are derived. Okay. That's it for me. Thank you guys for bearing through all this. Any other questions that you have for me before we see, and I'll see you guys in March. Yes, sir.
Don't want us to forget about the 2 additional scope items.
Yes, thank you. I think that that is now in the hands of, I believe, the council and/or chief are potentially discussing that with Bolton and Mink. I don't know where that is.
So you got a price from Bolton and Mink, and
It is. It's outside of.
so it's not under your contract?
No, I don't know where. There was. I know that was mentioned today that it is potentially being discussed with Bolton and Mink, but I don't have any further direction for you on that. My understanding is that I don't think that was going to move forward, but I don't want to speak for the chief or council.
Island parking studies that we are talking about with Bolton and Mank, or what?
Well,
specifically?
and,
No,
and
the
whether
street.
there's going to be some additional scope of services related to the land use plan for Bolton and Mink.
Right, I have a note here to talk to you about that
Oh,
later.
okay. Okay. Anything that is worth sharing with them, or I don't want to.
Yeah, not at this point. There's
Okay.
nothing to
Next
update.
meeting.
Okay.
Nothing to update.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then you also had the Green Wave Festival.
Yeah, can we talk about while you're here, can we
Yeah.
talk about the Green Wave Festival?
When is that?
That is May 9th. Let me double check, make sure I wrote that down correctly. Yes, May 9th. So I went to the ERC meeting and the tree board meeting yesterday, and that was a recommendation from the ERC, informal recommendation, that they said, we might want to have a booth at the Green Wave Festival. We would have to man it, but the town would provide tables, chairs, tent, and any kind of written material that we'd want to hand out or talk about. This would only be a couple of weeks now after the public engagement process, so it might be good to. The Green Wave Festival is really well attended.
Where is it located?
Town Park.
Park.
Oh, so it's in Sunset.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Well, I guess, again, how we can man it legally,
So
Yeah.
one, I think
and then
that
what would we want to do?
two. So there's 2 things. One, I think that I don't. That probably needs to be at least given a yes, no, okay from council and or the interim administrator if the planning board is permissible to do that. That's a first, and then the second is I will not physically be available to be there. I will be out of town. But if you do need materials, I can help you have materials, some worksheets that would be substantially similar to what would be utilized, for example, for the first public engagement meeting or any other thing. So,
Right, that's what I was
okay.
thinking, is
Yep.
just some
Yep.
things to hand out so that the public can walk by and they can say, oh, you're doing a land use plan.
Sure.
Yeah. And then a URL address where they could
Yep.
dig deeper.
Yeah,
Well, I'd be happy to, I'll be available and I can person it.
I feel like if you'd rotate in and out of it and wouldn't have a quorum in that booth, because
Yeah.
inevitably you're going to get questions
Yeah.
that are going to be asked of the planning board. And so if you're there as the planning board, I think you'd be best just to play it safe and make
2
sure you don't
people
have a
at a time.
quorum under that booth. You got it.
Yeah.
yeah.
That'd be great.
that'd be
But I
fine.
guess so I'm okay with all that. It's just I'm not sure what we're going to do. We had the public engagement meeting. Let's just assume we closed out. I mean, we would probably have final survey results. You're talking about handing them things.
Well,
And
I was-
stuff will probably be already posted online. Okay.
and if
I
we
think
just
there
had
could be little flyers for where they could go to the town's website
Right.
or whatever it may be, or if they're curious about it, they could fill out some short worksheets. What are their what do they think the assets are in the town, issues, desires, etc. And that could
What time is it held from?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'll have to find out. It's 4 or 5 hours.
Well, obviously there's
It's
at
not
the
an
moment
all-
4 of us, so we can split half. Everybody's available on that day, the 9th.
Right, yeah.
I guess leave it open. We would have to split it 2 and 2.
Yeah.
At this point, if we don't get a third member by then, but
Just a way to generate more interest.
Yeah, I don't have any problem doing it. Just
You guys just give it some thought. We
Yeah.
got some time between.
so I
now.
guess
Yeah.
maybe the first thing we need to do is request the
Sounds
town
like
to say
sounds like Chief. I think said it's okay so long as
to
you don't
allow
have
us
a
a
quorum.
table for 2 persons, and to like blank, I don't know, like a reservation, or you might want to call it at this point, details to follow later, so to speak.
Yeah, like I said, as long as you don't have a quorum under that tent,
Right.
Yeah.
it'll be all right.
Well, it'd be nice to have a council member there too.
Well, that's their own thing. That's none of our business.
You're welcome to invite them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so tentatively we'll plan for a table for 2 there, with some information concerning the land use plan review that would be of interest and used to the public. Details will be filled out shortly.
Maybe we can talk about that more March,
We're going to have to
Meeting.
at this point.
And-
Okay,
and I'll find out more details about the times and when we show up and where we park and all that good stuff.
I can walk to it, so.
okay. Thank you, Wes.
Yes, thank
Wes,
Thank
great
you,
job.
If
Wes.
you want to
Thank you.
take my comments,
you. Yes, sir.
there
Please.
they are. You can take it.
Okay.
And you want us to do the same thing on the new one for the next meeting?
Yes, sir.
Be prepared to
We'll-
discuss it.
We'll do the exact same thing. I presumably we'll have a shorter meeting because we won't need to talk about public input meeting dates and this. I'll give you a quick update on the survey when we meet. But
Okay, thank you. Final items on this is just general administrative comments, and I just had a couple of questions, and Kim talked. We have the vacancy that Kevin has left the board for ETJ. I see it was advertised, emails gone out. Do we have any applicants at this point, or we do good? Because last time, what? Oh, that's a problem. Because last time we
Took us over a year.
it took us a long time. We had to send out letters to the addresses in ETJ,
Yeah.
previous administrator. Well, that's what I was going to, if we have no legitimate applicants, I would think at some point soon we need to do that.
How long has the posting been up? Couple of weeks now.
Did we, I
Yes.
know there are households in the sanctuary. Were those included in the mailings?
So I guess at some point soon,
Yeah, we're gonna need to step up our efforts if we're not able to.
it's a
reach
difficult
anybody.
thing. It's always been.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
I understand
Uh,
the conversation yesterday about this.
So I was happy here. We thought we had some, but we don't have them in the right district. That's the problem, whether you're in town or in ETG. So I guess when staff is satisfied, it's been advertised through the normal routes, and it ain't generating any leads, then what worked last time, I think, was sending out letters, and we got some responses, as long as we're up to date on what residents exist in ETJ. So my
Agreed.
request would be, when the staff count is ready, that we consider doing that again to get our 5th member. That's all
I
I
agree.
got on that.
Yeah.
The other thing that came up, I guess, in looking at last town council, I mean, not the last town, I think I missed the council. They talked about doing a legal review of UDO compliance with 160D. I don't know if that's still going on or not. I thought we've already done that. And Ron, I thought you had kind of like an existing list of possible 1/6 or recent changes that were.
160D was done in 2020,
Right.
2021.
I might not be stating this right,
No,
but
no,
I
but
think
that-
there
that
was
was
an
what-
item on the council to talk to legal counsel to review this again.
That was 160D was adopted by council in 2021.
You know, okay.
And,
but-
and so I'm not sure exactly what.
What I heard at the
Council's
meeting
been
is
asked.
they were asking that for new legal counsel to review that again, which is their prerogative to spend the money. But yes, we did it before, but I also thought you provided, I'm going to say 6 months or 8 months ago, you had like a short list of other things legislatively.
We did a legislative update in sometime mid 25
Right.
from the previous.
But there was things I
2020
think we
calendar.
decided that we didn't have to.
Correct.
All I'm saying is that list should be given to whoever is doing this to not spend money on redundant work. You're not online, I think.
I'm not sure exactly what the specific request from council was on that, so I just work with the chief.
Yeah.
Well, my
Give it to the chief, that's
recollection
necessary
from
on that
attending it was they wanted a legal review of the UDO,
Right.
which to me is,
Sounded like the
you
whole
know, we spent
UDO.
2 years going over that.
Well, I thought
thing.
they were talking about
They
160D
specifically
and
said 160D. 160D was done, and the code was brought into compliance with 160D back in 2020, 2021 timeframe. Your revised UDO, the current UDO, was done in 2023, and in staff's opinion and consultant's opinion, it was consistent with 160D.
so
We have since made additional changes as legislative updates have been required.
and what I heard, it was 160D, I thought, plus anything to make sure we're in. So all my point here is not to go too long on it, is that list we had from 2025, share that with administration so that redundant, if we already sort of have a list that we think, if I remember that list, there's things that was on there we weren't sure we really had to do anything with. You called out some
There were
points.
some things, yes.
You called out some points that have, let's just say, vaguity or whatever, weren't quite clear. So just make sure they have that list. So if they're paying somebody to look at, you don't come up with the same list again, just to save some money. But if you
I'll
don't
have
want-
conversations with the chief.
Right,
Yeah, you're welcome to send it to me.
right. Not just to avoid redundant work and expense if possible. That's all.
There's been some recent legislation, and from the last session that we just got a bulletin that was released Monday or Friday of last week, Monday this week or Friday of last week, that I have yet to download and engage my review on.
I mean,
but
if the council wants to spend money reviewing the review, that's fine, they can do that, but to find out that there's already been sort of a mini list divide and have it come up with the same things again, seems a little ridiculous from my point, but everybody, as long as we're all sharing the information, I'm good. And the last question I had, and maybe just because I missed it, what happened with the mud signs and the overlay district text?
it's been delayed. It was delayed from your February meeting because of the snowstorm, the snow
Snowstorm.
closure. So
They
it will
had-
go to council on March 2nd.
So both of those are,
March 2nd, Gateway and the mud. And I have been asked to look at potentially narrowing down the color palette from the palette color of Charleston, image of Charleston, or whatever the title was. Maybe
Okay.
not as many colors. Increase what was there, what's currently has, but maybe not being as inclusive as all of those colors
Okay.
that move forward. So,
Okay.
But they will be presented what the planning board made a recommendation on, and in my back pocket, I'll have potentially some ideas on how to reduce.
And what was the
color.
date again?
March
March
2nd.
2nd meeting.
What
Okay,
time, 9 or?
It's the
whatever it
normal
is, it
council
is.
meeting, 7 p.m.
Okay, I don't have anything else administratively. Does Ron, you have, or
I have
Ron, you
nothing.
have anything left to know? Other than our next meeting is whenever it's scheduled to be?
I had a question for the chief. We had that special called meeting for the planning board, and then it was canceled. Is there any update on Lumina Fairways, or?
I have nothing to report on Lumina Fairways.
Have they petitioned the Board of Adjustment? Do we know?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Okay. The last item, of course, is public comments. So, seeing that we've exhausted the public, seeing no public comments, we can move on to adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
A second?
I'll second.
All aye?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Sorry for the long meeting.
Really.